What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Omni-sensei here with What If I Was Reborn in DC as Bruce Wayne? The Strongest Batman. Part 3. If you enjoy this type of content, please furiously deliver thorough justice to the like button. For Gotham. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Remember to check out the original story linked in the description. Let's get into the rise of the strongest Batman in history without further ado. You think your dookie don't stink? Ace, DC League of Super Pets. Gotham 2003, Omniscient POV, Oniman dialect. Now where did that damn butterfly go? I swear I saw it hovering somewhere around here. Ace, Bruce's pet dog, thought as he used his ever-trusty nose to sniff around trying to smell out the multicolored little menace. It has been quite a couple of years that he has been living with his human best friend, the one and only Bruce Wayne. And he was really proud to say that he had the highest amount of trust from Bruce among everyone else except the wise old man, Alfred. Ace had done his best to be as loyal and useful as possible to his human benefactor and best friend, but unfortunately, that man was light years ahead of him when it came to being useful. It didn't matter what happened. Alfred always seemed to perform better than him in almost everything, whether it was fetching stuff for Bruce lifting his mood, or biting the hell out of thieves who dared to try to enter their home. Yeah, they were not only greedy but stupid as well. Couldn't they see that this home was under his mighty protection, the protection of the great Hound of Gotham? Anyway, he had tried to give some tough competition to the old man trying to vie for the position of being Bruce's most loyal, but after repeated failures Ace had finally settled for sharing the said title with Alfred. Plus he was also a little afraid of the guy. The butler was quite strict with both him and Bruce whenever it came to etiquette and manners, even more than that crazy guy ninja guy who taught Ace about different tricks and even trained him how to perfectly aim and bite off people's private parts. Ace, although the definition of a good dog and was quite proud of it too, still had his careless accidents. He was always severely admonished by Alfred whenever he forgot his chewing toys on the floor in the living room or conducted his private business outside his litter box by accidents of which he wasn't at all proud. Now, however, even though Ace had settled his differences with Alfred, he was still competing with someone else for something even more important. He was going head-to-head with that cat girl. Yes, it was the girl named Selina. That girl had completely monopolized what was supposed to be one of his most prized spots and titles. She had taken the spot beside Bruce on his bed during sleepy time. At first, the dog was okay with it because, after all, Bruce had taken her in way before he had adopted Ace. In fact, after he learned of her unfortunate life before Bruce from some of the local birds, he was even quite sympathetic as one strayed to another and gladly shared Bruce's bed with her, taking one side of it and leaving another to her. But despite all his goodwill, she had broken his trust and betrayed him. Lately, she had been locking the door to Bruce's bedroom at night without even letting Ace in first. Even when Bruce yelled from inside the room that they were too young, and she was not mature yet, probably too young and immature to sleep alone without Ace, she still didn't open the door. However, Bruce always showed his loyalty as Ace's best friend and opened the door to him after severely berating the girl. But that still didn't convince Ace to forgive her for her crimes against their sacred human-dog friendship. But he had a plan for taking his rightful place as Bruce's cuddle buddy back from her in his mind. A plan which was walking towards him this very moment. Hey Ace, how is it going? Wait, am I interrupting your monologue or something? A small orange kitten cutely said in an anime-like voice as it lazily and effortlessly walked through the gate bars. It was good the defenses on the walls that Bruce had recently installed were controlled by Cortana and were smart enough not to attack the cat. Otherwise Ace would probably have lost his only cat friend that day. Oh, it's you, Whiskers. I thought I would have another stupid human's parts to bite off. Ace said with some amount of disappointment in his voice. You seriously have got to stop doing that. The dogs and cats in the neighborhood are all calling you the ball biter, you know. I am the one who has to explain to them that you don't chew on them or eat them but just bite them to pieces. The cat cutely informed. Yeah, I know. But I don't care. I am not like those weaklings. I was forged in pain and suffering. I know how to survive in the wild. The real wild, I mean, not the pesky little streets of Gotham. Ace barked. Aha. You have already told me this story a couple of hundred times of how you were part of an illegal fighting ring run by a crazy evil scientist who tortured you and made you fight against robotic animals every day. But you still got out of there in style, while foiling his plans of taking over the world by exploding and decimating his entire base. Whiskers repeated in a bored voice, making it clear that the cat didn't believe the story at all, just like nobody sane enough would. You don't believe it, but that definitely happened. Ace huffed in frustration. Anyhow, I was here to inform you that the Wiggles gang has been becoming more active recently. They already rule most of the sewers, but now they are also targeting factories and big houses trying to increase their criminal empire. Your owner's mansion is quite big and fits the description of the locations they have been taking over recently. So you should look out in case they set their sights on your home, Ace. Believe me, those little rats are quite slippery. Whiskers said as it began to lick its paw hungrily. I see. The Wiggles gang, huh? Thanks for the info, Whiskers. I'll be sure to look out for them, but even if they do come here thinking it to be another place for them to easily take over, all they will find is a painful death. Ace growled, thinking about all the rats Bruce had captured and experimented on over the years. Normally that could easily be called animal torture, but Ace knew better. He knew how the rats in Gotham were, and he was sure that his genius boss Bruce did as well. Each and every one of those damn critters was affiliated with the Whiskers gang, a malicious gang that wanted nothing more than the downfall of all humans and animals except them. They wanted the city to fall so that they could rule it as their own wasteland. Oh, by the way, Whiskers, remember when you told me that you always wished for a family that would take you in, but nobody did because you weren't a good enough breed? Well, guess what? I just might have found you such a home, my furry little orange friend. Ace said with a smile on his face that showed all of his sharp and well-groomed teeth. What, really? Yeah, yippee. The cat began to jump all around in happiness as it celebrated the news it had just gotten, not even doubting Ace for a second. Slow done, little kitten. Don't you want to know who your new family is going to be? Ace asked as a small cunning smile flashed on his face for a brief moment. Who? Who? Whiskers asked excitedly, like it was in some sort of wild sugar rush. It was always a stray cat that had never been adopted by a human. It had always watched the more fortunate and better-looking cats get adopted, even if they were plain useless or extremely ill-mannered. However, Whiskers, who had learned to do so many things to please humans, like even juggling ping-pong balls, never even got a second look from humans. She had almost up hope of ever getting adopted by a human owner, but Ace's words now had suddenly awakened a lost wish in her, a desire to be someone's cat. You would live with me at the Wayne Manor. You would be the Wayne family's only cat. Ace revealed as he proudly displayed the premium-looking Wayne collar on his neck. Wait, Wayne? Isn't it your? Yep, I am their dog as well, and so can you, their cat, that is. Not their dog. That position is already occupied. Okay, sure. I don't plan to change myself to a dog anyway. The cat community really looks down on trans cats. Huh? Yeah, sure, whatever that means. However, you'll have to wait a couple of days while I try to prepare them for you. I am sure a few well-placed cat toys and some cute cat posters will do the trick for most of them. Ace began to plan. He wasn't just inviting Whiskers to his home out of the kindness of his heart. No, besides gaining a permanent playing buddy, he was also planning for something else. He was planning to make that cat lover Selena busy with Whiskers. Once she gets busy with the orange cat, she should stop trying to cuddle with Bruce and instead go and cuddle with her own furry buddy. Yeah, that's a perfect plan. I guess I am as smart as my owner. A smart dog for a smart human, he thought. I am ready to wait as long as I need to. I'll even wait for months if that means I can get adopted and live with a human family. Wait, I'll have to dust off my juggling and fetching skills, then if I want to please them. What if they don't like me if I can't catch little blood bits they throw at me? I heard that's an important skill to have for pets. I'll be going off then, Ace. I have some serious practicing to do. The small cat cutely said as it stumbled away to God knows where. Fetch, huh? How stupid. Everyone knows that dogs are way better than cats in that game. Well, what can you expect from a cat? He snickered but was still glad that he was able to make his little cat friend happy, but soon his smile went away as he stared off into the distance with somewhat of a glum face. I guess I can still do some good in this world. I guess you were wrong when you said that I was a useless bad dog, only good for getting beaten by your lab experiments, Professor. I at least am good at something, even if it is to bring smiles to the faces of others. No, you were a bad owner. I have understood that now since I have an actual good owner, a human being who takes care of me and trusts me as much as I trust him. No matter how intelligent you were still wrong. Ace thought with a heavy heart as he looked at the dark cloudy sky, recalling the family he once had. The siblings that were once his only playmates in that dark little cage of his. He didn't remember much from that part of his life. He was too young to remember. Too much of a puppy, but he did remember one name. The cursed name of his tormentor. The one responsible for his tragic fate, Evo. No, it's all in the past. I am now Ace Wayne, the Hound of Gotham. I am the proud dog of the great heir of the Wayne family. Forged by torment and strengthened by agony, I am. Butterfly, butterfly, butterfly. He barked like a maniac as he finally noticed the butterfly he wanted to chase and excitedly trotted off after it, completely forgetting about the monologue he was trying to make. He had a much nobler purpose currently, for when the city becomes overrun with such colorful menace, a dog must rise and chase them all away. Omniscient POV, ah, how nice. Seems like little Ace has made himself a friend. I had been getting worried for the dog. He doesn't have a lot of friends, not even at the dog park. He is actually a lot like you, Master Bruce. Alfred chuckled. Was that supposed to be a joke? I like to judge myself based on the quality of my friends, not the quantity. Also, even then I have a lot of friends. There is Selena, Vicky, Helena, Cortana, Clark Yu, and even Slade. Bruce, who was much taller and looked even more handsome than before due to his ongoing teen years, responded with a smile. Yeah, but 2 of them are people thrice your age. 2 of them are your pen pals and 1 of them isn't even a living human. Alfred muttered to himself, wondering if he was doing a good job raising the kid, but he didn't continue on that line of thought for long, especially after he remembered all the dangerous things they had in their mansion, like guns or explosives or unlicensed drugs. Things that he had allowed Bruce to make or interact with. Bruce heard Alfred's mutter, but wisely chose not to comment, since he had no wish to argue with his #1 henchman. But yeah, you are right. I am happy for Ace. He needed an animal friend of his own. But I do wonder what animals speak of in their free time. Do they make sense at all when they talk in their languages? I guess we will never know unless... He stopped as he began to think about a certain item that was really famous in different fictional works in his previous life. A translator chip which can translate what animals say. I wonder if I can make that. Would be quite useful for my #2. Bruce Wayne POV, Mr. Fox, why are we losing money in Wayne Electronics despite having such a big market share? We should be printing money like paper there. We have the most advanced products as well as the best marketing strategies. So why is it still struggling? I asked with a frown on my face. Nobody likes losing money, and the same was equally valid for me. It's not our fault, Bruce. The company is making billions of dollars in profits from its software and computer business alone, plus its new gaming and semiconductor businesses are also massive revenue earners. But they are barely covering the huge investments and acquisition prices we have to pay to set up the new manufacturing units and logistics channels. We even had to funnel profits from the other 2 subsidiaries to Wayne Electronics to fund some of the more daring projects we are currently undertaking in it. Our semiconductor and telecom research center in the city cost us a hefty $1 billion alone, and the recent Tesla and SpaceX acquisitions were even more expensive. And the worst thing is that while we had to pay most of the amount in cash, most banks have basically shadow banned us for some reason, most probably due to the influence of some of our competitors. Fox revealed. I see. So in one word, our expenses and investments are more than our earnings, right? But still, we cannot continue to spend money like this, man. I don't like to see it. Even if they don't affect my financial status at all, they are still depressing to look at. I said, annoyed at the negative numbers on the report. I agree with that. So I have come up with 2 ways to gather enough liquid money to make the necessary investments that we have planned for the future. What we can do is either sell some of our investments or try to partner with some bank out of Gotham. I already have a few banks, especially in the metropolis, that might do business with us in my sites despite us being a new company and all. By the bank, I simply said as I went over the documents. What? Lucius asked, not understanding what I wanted to say. I said by a bank. Wayne Enterprises does not own a bank currently and does business with Gotham National Bank instead, so I am free to acquire one. And the last I heard, one was up for grabs after the entire Bertinelli murder fiasco. The Gotham Merchant Bank has been suffering and steadily decreasing in valuation for some reason, right? I even heard of a new company called Sionis Industries that is trying to buy it. So all we have to do is just buy the bank before them and voila, unlimited liquid assets at our disposal. I smiled. Well, it isn't as simple as you just mentioned, but yeah, I guess that is possible. That will probably solve our limited cash-on-hand problem quite permanently. Lucius nodded, still not believing it was that simple to solve. Well, sometimes the simplest and most stupidest of solutions are the best solutions. Anyway, as for Wayne Entertainment, we have made huge strides there. From a score of successful movies to a dozen successful shows, we are the biggest studio right now. What Lion King and Star Wars started for us with improved VFX technology, and the unique storyline has only increased with franchisees like Lord of the Rings. Even though we have also spent quite some money in acquiring Netflix to get in on the DVD market, we are in no need of immediate funds. In fact, licensing and merchandise have made sure that we have more than enough money to be the most profitable studio this year. Fox proudly completed. You had me at Netflix and DVD. I chucked while Lucius just stared at me with a confused expression, not understanding the reason for my laugh at all. And what about Wayne Capital? It isn't making any losses, is it? I ask, too bored to look at its financial reports. No, it has the steadiest profits actually. Even though it's our most risky business, we haven't made any significant losses in it whatsoever. He informed. That was expected. Between my future knowledge and Cortana's algorithms, it's almost impossible to lose money through some bad investment or decisions. Anyway, it was good that my financial status was more or less secure besides a few hiccups and nothing major. As soon as I inherit the rest of the companies when I turn 18, that would be the time when my true wealth and influence would start to accumulate. I would be able to release my more interesting stuff out there like miracle drugs or mind-bending technology without raising too many eyes. Now that the financial reports of Wayne Solutions are done, we should move on to the next topics. The dividends of Wayne Enterprises. Lucius continued as he placed another big pile of files in front of me. I really hate these financial discussions, I said with a sigh, wondering why earning money was so boring compared to spending it. Omniscient POV. Focus not only on your target, but everything around you as well. Try to create a harmony between you and nature. Richard Dragon was seen trying to train a teenage boy in the secrets of martial arts. After Richard left Gotham, he hadn't found any other student nearly as gifted or talented as the 3 students he taught in that hellish city. It was only after 3 years of exploring the country that fate had brought him to meet someone else, another young boy who required his help, a prospective disciple. Although not as amazing as those 3, he was still a decent talent in his own right and a troubled person. So Richard gladly began to teach the boy some of his teachings and became his sensei, hoping to show him the right path. Master, this is impossible. Your moves are so complex and intricate that there is no way I can replicate them without days of practice on my end at minimum. The teenager complained. Everything is possible, Vic. Remember, balance is the key. It is essential to life. With balance of mind comes balance of body, and with balance of body comes balance of spirit. Still teaching that same boring lesson, are you, Richard? No improvement at all. Sensei would be disappointed. A female voice sounded from somewhere nearby, but from where, it could not be determined as the sound seemed to echo from all directions. Lady Shiva, so kind of you to visit an old friend. But you didn't have to knock out my student with a dart. You could have just told him to leave. Richard spoke, although there wasn't any anger or annoyance in his voice. True to what he said, his new student was now lying on the ground with a single dart sticking out from his neck, completely knocked out. Couldn't take the chance. Children have become quite nosy and troublesome nowadays. Lady Shiva smirked. So my dear friend, why are you here? Richard questioned. I actually have some business with one of your little students. You probably know which one I am talking about. After all, I was the one who called in all the favors you owed me and sent you there, she answered with a smirk. I am assuming you are talking about Bruce Wayne and not this one, right? Richard's expression became more serious than normal as he stared at the femme fatale with a frown on his face. Shiva nodded. I don't know what the League wants from him, but take my advice, Shiva, stay away from him. He is not what the League thinks he is, that I can tell you. The League won't be able to make use of him. Instead, it will only invite trouble by trying to get involved with him. Richard said as he slowly removed the dart from Vic's neck. And why not? The League is much more powerful than you think. A small-time billionaire is... Shiva started, but was interrupted. You honestly think I am talking about money here? Richard says with scrunched-up brows. No matter how powerful he is, he will still fall to the clutches of the League because that's what the demon head wants, and that's exactly what he will get. Maybe, but you should have never sent me to train him, you know. Because I can tell you that he is the most gifted student I have ever trained, and he has the potential to become the strongest as well. Richard smiled as he picked up his student, throwing a small bait to his old friend. Good. Then it will be much more fun than I expected. Lady Shiva sniggered as she slowly took a couple of steps back and soon disappeared into the shadows, just as easily as she appeared, leaving Richard standing behind with Vic on his shoulders. So, it's time, huh? I hope you are ready, Bruce. Because it's starting. Omniscient POV. Is everything ready, Cortana? A tall and muscular Bruce asked as he laid down his lean and muscular swimmer's physique on top of a weird-looking egg-shaped machine. Yes, Bruce. Both the Compound V and the perfected Super Soldier Serum vials have been connected to the pod. The energy charges from the kryptonite-based energy reactor are also active. We can now safely begin the procedure. Cortana's voice came back from the background. Good, then begin the operation. And let's just hope I don't die this time. Bruce muttered as the pod was automatically sealed by Cortana, and unique pain-nullifying and nerve-relaxing gas was released inside it, entering Bruce's body through his nostrils and mouth. Tubes and syringes connected to various parts of his body began to continuously inject the two serums into his veins, while the machine itself began to wheeze with energy. 30 milliliters of perfected Super Soldier Serum injected, 70 milliliters of Compound V injected. Filtered unique kryptonite radiation injection initiated. Radiation at 1% power. 5%. Cortana's voice began to document the entire process. Oh my. Oh, great Wayne. Okay, this might be more painful than I initially thought. Bruce clenched his teeth as he felt like lava was flowing through his veins. Even the pain-nullifying gas wasn't of much help. Bruce had initially thought of using the newer Nagel's version of the Super Soldier Serum, which was much simpler and faster to inject, but had decided against it because it was much weaker than the original Erskine's version, and that was exactly why Bruce had opted to use that original one after improving the serum with the Oz formula, Green Goblin Serum, from Marvel and the Mirakuru that he had developed from the blood sample that he had taken from Deathstroke. Unfortunately for him, the resulting product was so potent that he felt like a masochist torturing himself while trying to use those serums. Radiation at 75% power, Cortana declared without stopping. Ahaha. Shit. God, this was a wrong and hasty decision. He continued screaming like he was experiencing the most painful death he possibly could. He felt like his skin was on fire, his muscles were falling off, and his bones were melting. Radiation at 90%. Bruce could no longer yell as his muscles and skin began to visibly melt down into goo and leak through the pod, his eyeballs turning into liquid as he even lost his ability to try to ask for help from his AI assistant. Radiation at 95%. Radiation at 100%. Radiation is at full power. Injection procedure concluded. Powering down. Cortana declared as the machine began to rapidly power down until it stopped wheezing altogether. When the entrance to the pod finally opened, liquid parts of Bruce flowed out of there with only his bones in somewhat of a solid condition. The rest of him had either turned into red jelly or boiling liquid. Subject perished. The experiment is unsuccessful. Bruce died in experiment Superbat V1.9870. Cortana recorded the logs dutifully without even a hint of sadness present in her cold mechanical voice. Bruce Wayne POV. Another death. Wow, how many times has it been? I think I have died too many times to remember, even with my photographic memory. I joked as the simulation on the screen in front of me ended with my digital clone dying the most horrible death imaginable by mankind. Well, aren't you glad that you have me to depend on instead of having to test it on yourself or sacrifice some other human being? Cortana gloated as her digital hologram held her chip up in pride. You see, I, as a cautious person with a couple of brain cells still intact inside my brain, am never going to inject myself with an untested serum despite being sort of a crazy scientist. But instead of carrying out illegal human trials, I use thousands of digital simulations run by Cortana where she considers each and every possible variable and tells me the percentage of success for each of those experiments on the basis on which I decide whether to go forward with the experiment or go back to the drawing board. These digital simulations are extremely accurate, and even the digital human clones used in them are sort of alive, as they are based on the brainwaves of their actual human counterparts, which in this particular case was me, and can even be considered sentient. So, the simulations can be said to be almost 100% accurate. And even then they are conducted thousands of times with different variables just to be sure. Did you find out where we are going wrong? I asked as I looked at the 0.49% success rate despite not finding the error in the experiment while performing the same simulation more than 9,000 times. Not particularly, but I have a possible working theory. The perfected super soldier serum, although more potent than before, is still harmless, and all simulations done with it separately are successful. Same with the compound V. However, the main problem always arises when the two are mixed in the presence of filtered kryptonite radiation in your body. Even though on paper, it seems that your body can adapt to it and bear their combined power, in practice, it is the complete opposite. But I am beginning to think that this might not just be a physical or biological issue. I think it might be more spiritual. Remember, after you began to learn about magic and its various energies, you improved the PK meter further to sense any type of magical energy nearby? When you connected it to my other sensors, I was able to use a combination of them to even be able to sense various spiritual energies like your chi or souls and spirits. Now if I apply that knowledge and understanding to this particular simulation, then it is possible to deduce that the combined effects of the serum are hurting your soul more than your body. In fact, what is happening to your physical body may just be a reflection of your damaged soul. Cortana informed. That could actually explain it. I never did consider my soul in my calculations after all, even though I have no idea why any of those serums would affect someone's soul as well. Maybe it was the kryptonite radiation, or it might even have been the Mirakuru. However, even though I now know that it is a spiritual problem, I still can't develop a solution because I don't have nearly enough data or knowledge on the topic. Even in the magical studies that I am currently undertaking underneath Mr. Zatara, souls are something of a taboo subject. Even the best soul magic that I have heard of can only slightly control or scan souls, but none can truly explain their workings or create and destroy them. I could learn some more about different types of soul magic, but I would have to lean towards more demonic or dark arts for that, which Giovanni probably wouldn't allow. So I have no other choice but to wait until I graduate from being his student, which is going to be very soon. I said as I thought deeply about my options. I am in a major dilemma now. Do I wait for more knowledge on souls and then figure something out, or do I brute force it somehow by focusing on constantly healing my body while injecting the serums? There is, however, one possible way to bypass this detriment, and that is to simply take the serums one by one and let your body and soul get used to them. Injecting yourself with just one of the serums right now should not exert too much pressure on your soul, and you would be able to inject another serum later without any consequences. Cortana informed. That's a very good idea, Cortana. Run some simulations and tell me how long it will take for my soul to heal and not be adversely affected by injecting myself with two different super serums. I asked as I looked at the real-life hologram of the 16-year-old AI. About 3 to 4 years depending on if and how much you perform your spiritual exercises, Cortana informed. Well, that's not too bad, I guess. I mean, the perfected super soldier serum will alone make me strong enough to be able to handle most criminals in Gotham quite easily. So it won't exactly be a nerf for me if I am smart enough. Plus, I don't exactly intend to start hunting criminals or gangs right now. It will probably be a couple of years before I do that. And even then, I'll only do that if I consider the criminals actual menaces to society that the regular cops wouldn't be able to handle. As for the other ordinary everyday psychos, well, I have quite some plans to become the largest defense company in the world, and I think the cops of this world might find some use for a few OP upgrades to their equipment, while I might have some use for new connections and influence. I thought with a smile on my face. I have already developed my connections a lot in these 5 years. Wayne Solutions has excellent relations with many international governments that I had thought to be noteworthy enough to befriend, like the governments of Corto Maltese, Markovia, Bialia, and Kondak. Of course, I might have befriended some of these governments to get in their good graces by giving them some donations so that I could get access to their resources like Eternium of Kondak. Once I fulfill my objective, there is a high chance that I might even just say damn it and take over one of them as my own little piece of haven after I retire. As for the great country of the USA itself, let's just say a certain Kent was doing pretty well in his recent political career, making it possible for me to have friends in high places. Hell, the man even had plans to stand for election as president one day. Anyway, these past few years I have been working too hard on both my science projects and magic. I am proud to say that on the magic front right now, I am better than any seasoned street magician in escapology, sleight of hand, or misdirections, and also have memorized more than 300 books on actual magical creatures, spells, and rituals. But I have yet to cast any true magic spells. Even after I learned some sorcery, I have still never cast a single spell, mainly because I sense at least a dozen pairs of eyes on me every time I try to use even a bit of sorcery. Even the mind-shielding necklace that I always wear had exploded from overheating after I tried to use a certain spell meant for a simple exorcism. And after years of hard work, when I realized the Magus gene in Homo Magus could not be replicated by me that easily by using pure science, I simply quit trying to master sorcery and magecraft, and instead just focused on acquiring information. My goal is to perfect what I can do for now, and that in magic is runes. I have an innate talent for rune formations due to my intuitive intelligence cheat, which also worked with runes of different languages, and I intend to be the best in it, even better than the Zataras. However, I still need to study a lot, especially the different languages of runes. For now, I merely have a basic idea of Elder Futhark and Young Futhark. Yeah, pathetic, I know. As for my advancements in science, now that's what I am really proud of. For the last few years I have been mainly working on 3 primary projects. My bioserums meant for genetic alterations of the highest grade that I have been quite successful in, as evidenced by my having developed both a perfected version of Super Soldier Serum and Compound V. The second was nanotech, which would be my next method of strengthening myself. Whether it be extremist-style nanomites from Marvel or the nanomachine nanobots from the web novel, all of them can be developed with enough research in nanotechnology, which I am extremely close to breaking through. I had already cracked basic nanotech, but it didn't have value in my eyes since I hadn't perfected them or developed them to the potential they really possessed. My aim was to one day put Blue Beetle to shame with my nanotechnology. The third and last one of them was atomic printers or replicators, as seen in some of the most advanced sci-fi worlds like Star Trek, or with Kong from Marvel that could print anything, any molecule, or any atom from anything. Whether it be making inorganic materials, organic food, clothing, medicine, or even weapons, it could replicate anything solid, liquid, or gas as long as it had the energy and equal number of atoms that it needed to produce the resultant product. Unfortunately, I am only halfway through with them, as my version only worked like an advanced 3D printer. But at least I have perfected my sun breathing style, or should I say my own abyssal breathing style, I confidently thought in my mind as I looked at the half-cracked wall of the cave. Something I did with only a fencing foil, which was scientifically impossible in real life, but I had still done it with my expert sword style and my self-developed bullshit chi-powered abyssal breathing style, which was composed of its own unique 12 different techniques. It was a breathing style that I had developed for myself after combining every other breathing style I knew from the Demon Slayer show, and was focused on stealth, speed, and precision instead of raw strength and stamina. It of course didn't produce any fancy visual effects around me like a wave of darkness or something, but it was still OP considering the massive boost it temporarily provided me in physical stats and combat style. Bruce, I have run the simulations about 100 times. The perfected Super Soldier Serum is completely safe for you to take if you want to. I have even taken the liberty to produce a new batch for you. Cortana interrupted Bruce's chain of thoughts as she informed him about her actions. Good. I guess it's time for me to finally become, more than a human, a super soldier to be specific, I said as I buttoned down my shirt. Wait, you will be undergoing the procedure right now. Cortana said like a shy maiden as she appeared flustered, another habit she picked up from watching anime shows. Yep, I can't delay this anymore. It's finally time. I said as I calmly walked towards the medpod, ready to lose the very thing that made the original Batman so special, his powerlessness. Will I be even Batman if I do this, if I get special abilities and powers? I wondered, suddenly feeling a dam of guilt weighing down on my heart for some reason, telling me to hold on to my ordinary humanity, to not get rid of my own weakness. But I didn't stop. I didn't care if I was the right kind of Batman or not, because I was not meant to be Batman. No, I am meant to be someone else, someone better, someone even Batman couldn't compare to, someone I have accepted. I am Bruce Wayne, I muttered to myself as I went inside the medpod. Alfred POV. I wonder what Master Bruce is doing in that cave of his? It had been about 12 hours since he had entered the cave after giving strict instructions not to disturb him no matter what. He didn't even have his lunch yet. Even after I went to check up on him to make sure that he wasn't doing something foolish again, Mississippi. Cortana didn't open the door for me, so I had to return back. It's almost like Master Bruce trusts her with his errands more than me. I swear sometimes I feel like she is after my own job. However, it's good that she is so loyal and meticulous in what she does for Bruce. Maybe she can inherit my position one day. After all, I can't be with Master Bruce forever, can I? What do you think, Ace? Do you think I am getting old? I looked at the dog sitting with lonesome eyes staring at the door. Woof Baka, a cute-sounding girl's voice came from the collar on his neck a split second after his bark, making the dog growl with annoyance. I guess Bruce still hasn't perfected that collar, has he? Well, he did say he would do it after he succeeds with the experiment that he is currently working on. But I wonder why hasn't he removed it, or just turned it off? Also, why is the collar's sound stuck in that particular voice? I muttered more to myself than Ace as I looked at the irritated dog. Asterisk or asterisk Kusoiru. He tried to growl once more in a deeper voice, but immediately shut up after the collar again tried to translate his voice. Yes, sorry, I would have tried to help you, Ace, but I don't know how that collar works, and I am not going to take chances with anything that Master Bruce has designed without consulting him first. After all, the last time didn't go well for either me or Master Bruce after I tried to fix that broken helmet of his to decrease his workload. I said as I completed dusting the roof and climbed down the walls after deactivating the anti-gravity option on my watch. This suit Master Bruce made me is pretty useful. This combined with that age-reducing and muscle-strengthening medicine he gave me is the only reason I still feel somewhat useful to him. But this suit specifically has made my life a lot easier. From servicing my weapons, cleaning the mansion, and so much more, it's really useful. Besides just a few tingly sensations here and there is almost no drawback. Well, except for the fact that every time someone smokes in front of me, my hand carries a lighter to their mouth on its own. But personally, I like it, makes me seem like a more proper butler to people. So I never turned the lighter function off even after Master Bruce taught me how to. Now on to the next room. Buzz buzz asterisk suddenly the advanced radio transmitter hidden on my belt buckle began to buzz. The only people who have this thing are the security staff of the estate, so it must be something related to their work. What is it? I asked seriously through the transmitter. Someone left a strange package in front of the gate, Mr. Alfred, but none of the CCTV recordings are showing us who left it or when. We used the bomb detection equipment and determined it was safe enough to open. There is also no radiation, poison, or any harmful bacteria or viruses on it. We determined that it was safe enough. So, do you want to take it to Mr. Wayne in this sealed condition, or do you want us to open it first? The voice from the other side of the radio asked. Don't open it. It might be something important for Master Bruce. Hold on to it for a few minutes. I'll come down there and collect it in a while. I finished as I put down the transmitter. I hope you didn't try to order uranium or some other radioactive, rare, or illegal material through one of your company contacts again, Master Bruce. The last time you did that, someone almost launched a nationwide investigation into that. I sighed once again as I began to walk out of the room with Ace in tow. Bruce Wayne POV. Oi chach my god. My muscles feel like they are on fire. God damn it. Shit. I think I had my entire life's worth of muscle spasms in a single day. I huffed in pain as I exited from the pod. The nerve-based pain-relieving gas, the pain tolerance I had developed through my martial arts, or even my chi and meditation techniques were not able to properly neutralize the soul-wrenching, blood-boiling pain that this self-performed enhancement experiment gave me. Cortana, remind me to increase the intensity and dosage of the neuropathic pain-relieving gas if I ever decide to give this to Alfred or the girls. I don't think they would be able to tolerate as much pain as me. I said with some amount of pride in my voice as I wrapped my wet and now heavily muscular and well-defined body with a towel offered by one of Cortana's tentacles. I hope people don't get suspicious of someone like me who is in his mid-teens, but still has the body of a professional athlete. Hell, if this trait goes on, then by the time I am in my mid-20s, I'll be DC's Yujiro Hanma, which is kind of cool but still creepy. Welcome back, Bruce. I'll put the assignment on my list. Also, should I begin the blood work? I think doing some practical and scientific tests will be better, even though we already know what changes have been undertaken in your body through the simulations. Cortana advised me, not showing much care at my ramble about the pain. Fine, you already got my new blood sample from the machine, right? Run the tests. Till then, I'll try to work out and see how much I have developed without my chi and breathing technique. I said as I went to my physical testing equipment that I had set up at a corner of the Batcave. It was a single advanced machine that could measure most of my essential physical properties. A big Hulk-sized machine that would cover most of my body parts and study each and every part of it, including muscle movements, nerve interactions, tissue thickness, and even blood circulation to determine its biological capabilities. Let's start the tests by running first, I said as I began to run wearing the armor-like machine. I wasn't even running on the ground as the machine made sure to keep me stationary in the air like a treadmill. After a 10-second gradual acceleration, you can attain about 70 miles or 112 kilometers per hour approximate running speed, Cortana said after about 5 minutes of constantly running. Satisfactory, since I won't be racing with a speedster or a Kryptonian anytime soon. Now, what about my lifting strength? I said as I stopped running in the air and felt something pressing on my muscles, particularly a weight on my fingers and hands from all around. The machine could exert force up to 1,000 tons, so measuring my current lifting strength won't be a problem for it. About 60 tons. Quite good considering you tried to focus the capability of the serum more on resistance, endurance, healing, and stamina than strength and speed. She recited the readings. Yeah. I could easily increase those by actively using breathing techniques, chi, advanced armors, or future serums/steroids, but having poison or chemicals in my system is more dangerous for me. So I wanted to increase my passive attributes more for now. It was true since my chi alone can give me a 2 to 3 times increase in my stats depending on how much I concentrate, just like the breathing technique can dish out a 1.5 to 2 times stat increase. On that front, it's good news because you are now immune to all diseases known officially by mankind. Even the most harmful chemicals or narcotics won't affect you much unless someone has complete details about the serum or your current biology. Bioweapons like mustard gas will barely put you to sleep if injected into your system directly in sufficient doses instead of instantly killing you. Also, congratulations. You now have one of the thickest skin among humans. Bullets from lightweight pistols and revolvers won't even penetrate your skin, much less injure you. As for your healing ability, damaged skin takes about 1 to 5 minutes to regrow. Small muscle damage will take about a few hours, while severe muscle damage or critical broken bones will take about a day. Loss of non-vital organs or limbs may be fatal depending on the injury, but if not, then most organs or limbs can grow back within a span of a few months if treated right. In case of fatal damage to the nervous system or major loss of any vital organs, you may face temporary death, or should I call it death-like naturally induced hibernation. As long as your brain is not completely destroyed, you may recover in a year due to the presence of the traits of the enhanced soldier serum of Deathstroke and the OZ formula in your serum. She finished. So sort of a rough pseudo-immortality? I asked, not believing I had already achieved such an amazing feat already. More like you are really hard to kill. You will still age, but extremely slowly. Your life expectancy might be a couple of 100 to 1,000 years. Cortana stated as her hologram began to look me up and down. That's not too bad, I guess. But it seems I still have to work harder to try to achieve actual immortality. I murmured to myself as I looked at my chiseled, now 5 feet 8 inches body that can still be considered a swimmer's physique in the bat-shaped mirror. My obsession with sticking to the theme would only be truly completed if my back muscles had the shape of a bat like Yujiro Hanma's demon face one day. I thought sarcastically. But seriously, man, look at those goddamn abs and veins. The muscles in my legs are so detailed that they look like mini wings. Even my jawline and face look more charming and defined now. Hey Cortana, don't you feel like I am a goddamn art of steroid-filled nature that will even put Greek and Norse gods to shame? I narcissistically said as I posed in front of the mirror. I have never seen a god, so I can't compare, but I guess if I were a human I would say something like, "You are fluttering my maiden heart." Kawaii. She acted like an anime girl. I don't think I can tolerate 2 anime girls in the same house. Maybe I should repair Ace's collar and give him a male voice to bring back some masculinity in this house. I think I even have the perfect male voice in my mind for that, although I am not sure how masculine it is. Bruce, Alfred is here with a package in his hand. He says it's important. You might want to meet him. Cortana broke me out of my thoughts. Oh yeah, sure. Let him enter. I am excited to see what he thinks after witnessing my new form. I hope he doesn't get a heart attack after seeing my new build. I laugh while knowing that there might be a small chance it may happen in reality. Oh well, I always have the medbay. The hell sent this letter? I exclaimed looking at the lavishly decorated suspicious black and gold letter, looking like it was from some Arabian king trying to appear rich as well as cool by sending me a gold-plated letter wrapped up in a dark theme. Language Master Bruce. Alfred tried to inhibit my cursing like usual, which I conveniently ignored. Cortana, did you find anything after scanning the outer packaging? No, Bruce. Unfortunately, the ones who packed or delivered it made sure to not even leave a single fingerprint or DNA remnant in there. From the materials used in the packaging and the letter, all I can deduce is that they were made outside the US, but unfortunately, I currently do not possess enough data to specify where. Cortana said with some dismay in her otherwise usually cheerful voice. Not your fault, Cort. After all, the internet still hasn't developed enough for you to find detailed information like that. I comforted her. What irked me was that the letter was not the only thing weird in the package that Alfred bought. What was more weird was the way it was delivered. The package appeared out of nowhere in front of the estate gates. Even the dozens of cameras monitoring every inch of both inside and outside the mansion failed to capture how it happened. Only when every frame of the recording data was meticulously checked by Cortana did she finally notice a slight dark smoke just the moment before the package was left in front of my gate, a smoke that both I and Cortana concluded as mystical in origin. It's good that Mr. Zatara had already inscribed some heavy anti-magic spell formations around the house. It's because of those barriers that stray dark wizards and evil sorcerers won't be able to come inside my home using their petty magic. I thought like a proud landowner. With untraceable packaging, a teleportation-like mystical delivery method, and a lavishly decorated letter, this is just getting more and more interesting. If I may speak, Master Bruce, I think that insignia on the seal might have a clue or two as to the person or the group that might have sent the letter. Alfred spoke up as he eyed the seal. Maybe, but Cortana didn't find anything after looking it up on the web except a few possible conspiracy theories stating that a symbol looking like that meant the end of the world or something. It was truthfully the worst letter seal I had ever seen. I mean, why would you make your seal look like an animal skull that cannot be even recognized when you can just make it something cooler like a rose or a dragon or maybe even a wolf? I snorted as I failed to identify the creature that the symbol consisting of a weird skull and horns looked like. Yes, you are right. It looks more like a demon's head to me than an animal's skull. I guess not every artist is as talented as you, Master Bruce, Alfred praised. Thanks, Alfred. But even if I can draw a better demon's head. Oh, so that's what it is. You are more talented than you know, Alfred. I now have a good idea about who the senders of this letter might be because of you. It's a pleasure, Master Bruce, Alfred said, gladly taking credit for it like an absolute sigma. Cortana made a new entry into the file titled League of Assassins. Mark them as active. I commanded, which Cortana followed without a single question. Among a huge sheet of countless names colored in red on the huge computer screen, the League of Assassins name suddenly lit in green as it joined the active status shared by only a few more names on the sheet, including a couple of famous underworld gangs, Superman, Catwoman, Lex Luthor, the Gordons, and a few other important people Bruce had met till now. But Master Bruce, may I ask what was written on it? You never told me. Alfred asked, probably feeling a little worried after hearing the ominous name of the group that had supposedly sent the letter to me. Nothing much. It just said, if you want to pursue true power, come find me. And then there is an address that can be traced to Nepal. I said with a straight face. That sounds really sketchy, Master Bruce. Please tell me that you are going to be wise and ignore the letter instead of blindly heading to the address the very next day. Alfred asked as he looked at me with a raised eyebrow and a face filled with absolute seriousness. Of course not, Alfred. What do you think of me as? I chuckled. Thank God. Seems I have managed to cultivate at least some amount of survival skills inside you. I'll be going after a week. I completed. Alfred looked crestfallen as he sighed and just shook his head, most probably expressing his disappointment about not being able to make me more normal. But I knew he wasn't going to try his best to keep me from going because cared for me as much as he did. He also knew what I was truly capable of. The world-destroying weapons I could build when required. There was no problem I could not solve, and almost no professional martial arts expert I could not beat, or at least give an equal fight to. He knew that particular last bit of information because he had hired a certain famous boxing heavyweight champion to see if what Richard had taught us was truly valuable in real-life combat situations or not, and let's just say, the boxer was glad that I wasn't a competitor of his, and this was a secret private match, or according to him, he would have to retire after being beaten black and blue by a kid like me. After that, Alfred had been much more assured about my safety than he was before, and even trusted me more with stuff like that. You are still not an adult, Master Bruce. You can't travel the world alone. He still tried his luck with another excuse. And I am not going alone. I am sure one of the bodyguards can gladly accompany me to the mentioned location. I'll be going alone from there. Look, Alfred, I know this particular organization. They are good fighters and live like monks in strict discipline. They are harmless. I assured him. And most of it was true, including the fact that they were harmless to me since I was invited there by their own leader. They will only try to kill me if I don't do what their leader, the demon's head, wants me to do, and that will most probably be by the end of the training period or whatever he intends for me. As for why I was walking into an oh-so-obvious trap, although it might be a trap from Ra's al Ghul to try to make me into his heir by shaping me into a civilization-destroying maniac like him, or him trying to take over my body to get himself a new free young body, it was still an opportunity for me. an opportunity one wasn't going to miss. Because with this particular opportunity, I had a chance to have my own secret gang of loyal killer ninjas. I had plans to go out to receive training anyway. I knew a lot of martial arts, courtesy of Richard, but I wasn't satisfied with it. Because even though I absorbed knowledge from Richard like a sponge in water, I still wasn't able to learn everything he knew in those 2 years. Compared to that, learning from Deathstroke was much easier. Also, I still hadn't been able to develop and replicate how Hammond worked through Chi. I needed more spiritual knowledge to even have a chance to be able to do that. And for that Deathstroke was useless. Spiritual was the last word in the dictionary that could be used to describe Deathstroke. I had done my own research to find such a place for further training. With Cortana's help, I found something called the Reach Monastery and All Caste as the only 2 potential places for training of such caliber. I was going to go there after my 18th birthday, but now that I had this invitation, there was no way I wasn't going there even if I was in enemy territory and in constant danger. Even if I do let you go, Master Bruce, what about the girls? I don't believe that they will be very happy seeing you go alone to a place filled with potential assassins. You don't have to worry about that. I'll take care of them. Just prepare for my trip. I'll be leaving a week from now. Also, congratulations, my dear butler, you're getting a promotion. You are now getting power of attorney over my Wayne Solutions company until I return. So you are quite a number of $1 billion richer now. Don't spend it all in one place if I don't return, I joked, even though he didn't laugh and just continued to stare at me with unamused eyes. Fine, I will make the preparations. Just don't get hurt. The butler finally said with some hesitation as he began to walk away, muttering about modern children not listening to adults nowadays. Cortana, I think it's time we start putting Project Uplift into effect. We are ready for it, right? I asked, still looking at Alfred leaving the Batcave through the elevator. We are ready. Alfred has already acquired most of the orphanages in the city under the Wayne Foundation, giving us access to a huge supply of loyal followers if we treat them right and just influence them slightly to make sure they know whom to thank. We have bought pieces of real estate in the many key locations of the city. Wayne Solutions will also be releasing dynamic products next year to displace every industry we have entered, and has also entered the final stages of our negotiations to buy the Gotham Merchants Bank. We have also been collecting dirt about almost every politician and senior official in the city, specifically the mayor. We have even started gathering information and tapping calls from senators and central politicians to support Mr. Jonathan Kent in his coming elections. We have all the pieces in place. Cortana informed. Good. But just to be safer, start manufacturing 100 of each type of the droids I designed. I have to make sure that there are no idiots stupid enough to try to attack Alfred, Selena, or Vicky. Helena should be safe with her uncle in Europe. Also, start working on a super pill for Ace. I am sure giving superpowers to dogs is easier than doing the same for humans. I instructed. I'll set up the tasks right now, Cortana said as dozens of her Dr. Octopus-like machine tentacles descended from the ceiling like snakes and began to start production on the drones. I guess I'll need to break the news of my departure to the girls next. Bruce Wayne POV. What do you mean you are going away, Bruce? We are still in school. You can't travel alone. That's not even legal. Also, don't you remember all the people who had tried to get inside the estate to hurt you or steal from you? Selena asked hastily, with her eyes already reddening due to the intense emotions she was feeling. Having money makes doing a lot of illegal things really simple, kitty. I taught you that, remember? Also, I won't be going away for long. Maybe 4 to 5 years max. So you don't need to. 4 to 5 years. Then take me with you as well. I'll train too. I am only a little less good at martial arts than you, so I should be able to accompany you and not hold you back. Alfred will be able to take care of everything here. He will have the company of Ace even if Deathstroke decides to leave. Selena tried to convince me. I can't, Selena. Not here, not where I am going. And that's not in for debate. Also, if you were to go away, even if Alfred and Ace could live alone, what about Vicky? Despite being an extrovert, she still only considers me, you, Helena, and Cortana as her true friends. And if you leave as well, she will be heartbroken. I reasoned. But, Selena, do you think I want to go away from my own home, away from you guys, just so that I can train myself? I don't, but I need to so that I'll never have to go away again. One needs power so that one can never get oppressed by it. That's the logic of the world. It's stupid, but that's how it works. And I swear when I return from my trip, I won't just be stronger, no, in fact, I will be powerful enough to never go away again. I promised. Bruce, may I ask you something? Yes, sure, go ahead, Kitty. Why did you let me live with you that day? Why didn't you just send me back to the orphanage the next day? Why go through all the trouble? She asked as she turned around and sat on the bed with a complicated expression. What do you think? Some of the kids from the school said that a lot of rich people like to groom and train orphans from a young age to become their mistresses and stuff. I am not judging you or anything. I mean, it doesn't matter why you did it. What matters is that you changed my life that day when you took me in. That's the only thing that matters. And I will gladly agree to be your mistress if that's what you want me to do. But you don't touch me even when I am the one who tries to court you. Hell, you haven't even kissed me on the lips, yet everyone at school says that you banged Silver St. Cloud in the locker room. She said in a single breath. First, you are watching too much Korean drama. Second, no, I didn't bang Silver in the locker room. It's a rumor she spread to get some attention from both me and other people after I rejected her. And third, really, Kitty? You will believe the words of complete strangers, rather than those of the person you have known for years. Do you truly believe that I have been grooming you? That night, I took you in not because you were the most beautiful girl I had ever seen, which you were, by the way. No, I took you in because you were you. You were Selena Kyle, this amazing girl who needed my help. And I gave you my help, albeit in return for something precious from you. I made you my family, the only thing I was lacking at the time. So yeah, I had ulterior motives, I guess. Sue me. And yes, I also have feelings for you. I always did. Anyone who gets to live with someone as extraordinary as you will get them, unless they are some sort of unemotional eunuch. And I am not ashamed of my feelings at all. I said, the intensity of my voice lessening by the second as I went towards her, my lips closing hers. And the only reason I have not claimed you despite the fact that you have made my life a living hell by teasing my life out of me is because I respect you and I wish to get your verbal consent before we do anything. After all, billionaires do get sued quite often by their pretty little assistants, especially if they are a hot little minx like you. I said, getting my full Riz mode on. I didn't care if my lines were cringe or not, but the thing was that they were the only lines I knew when it came to flirting. Maybe I should tell Cortana to simulate some different romance scenarios and come up with better pickup lines. Selena had shut up at this point, only blankly staring at my lips, which were dangerously close to her own. She gulped a little timidly and bent slightly forward, joining my mouth with hers as we kissed. It was a unique experience, to be sure. I had kissed before in my last life, but for some reason, this was heaven compared to that. Maybe the fact that I was kissing a girl who was supposed to be one of the top 10 hottest girls in this particular universe helped a lot. As the kiss advanced, we began to exchange our saliva with each other and play with each other's tongues, turning the kiss excessively more lewd than I initially meant it to be. I love you, Tiger. So, do you want to do it? I think we are old enough to maybe, try it out. Also, what's that hard thing on my thigh? She asked a little shyly with some confusion on her face as she stopped the kiss, which I was more than glad for. I love you too, but we can't. We are not old enough. We are just teens. We need to be at least 18 before we do anything intimate, old enough to make our own decisions, But, we can make out as much as you want till then. However, I think we will be old enough to do a lot of naughty things when I come back from my training trip. I gave a bullshit reason with a sad heart as I cursed myself. As for the hard thing, it seems my bat rod is malfunctioning. I'll probably need to treat it in the lab before it explodes. So bye. I'll meet you later. I said and quickly made my escape with gritted teeth before she could protest. As much as I want to get in her pants, I can't do it, not right now. And there is an actual valid reason for that, by the way, and it's not because I'm walking the Issei path of just satisfying myself with seeing and touching some appay while having nosebleeds. No, it is because I am still not sure if my manly juices can negatively affect the people I am intimately in contact with. After all, I used kryptonite radiation, along with a lot of other radioactive stuff, to make my special ultimate soldier serum. And I really don't want anybody I love to suffer from the same fate as Mary Jane did in one of the Ultimate Universe timelines, where she died of cancer after being in intimate contact with Peter Parker and continuously ingesting his radioactive sperm. So, I have to run a lot of tests as well as give some time for the serum to completely get integrated into my body before I start pleasing my little kitty. Pun very much intended. Although I should also make some anti-NTR drones and droids just to make sure that I don't get, as they say in Chinese, green-hatted, during my absence from Gotham in case I am in a more twisted comics universe of DC. Maybe, a small stealth-type droid with instant castrating abilities should be enough. I wondered aloud to myself. So, I am not getting the contract extension, am I? Deathstroke asked with a sad expression on his face after learning that I was going away and he might lose his high-paying job. Actually, that's what I was here to talk about. I'll be going away, and you have taught us almost everything you were ready to teach. But that doesn't mean I don't have any use for you anymore. You can still be an important member of my group, I said while doing full body push-ups using only the little finger of my left hand. And what do you have in mind? He asked, not reacting much to my showing off my newfound strength and balance. You are not at all sad that you won't be able to see me for the next half a decade, are you? Well, I guess, cold hard assassins will always be cold hard assassins. Anyway, what I want you under this new contract to do is simple. Besides protecting the Wayne Manor, Alfred, Vicky, and Selena, as well as making sure that there is no foul play in any of the Wayne properties and projects, including my new company, you will also be responsible for training a new force for me consisting of strictly Gotham locals that have no clear future except for in the underworld. Not anything I can't do, but pray tell me, boy genius, how do I recognize and recruit such people for training? There aren't exactly any talent agencies for stuff like that. Slade smirked as he tried to juggle 3 10-pound weights in a bid to show off his own skills. Remember, I have the largest number of orphanages in the city, about 80% of the total number of orphanages, that is. They have very good living conditions currently, even better than the average household in Gotham. A few years ago, I started a scholarship program there where every orphan kid was tested on their overall intellect, talent, potential, and physical abilities. They would get more benefits like high-tier private schools, tuition classes, training in skills of their own wish, and even professional advice for anything they wanted to do as long as they ranked high in some aspect of the test. These rankers would have an extremely high chance, according to my simulations, to be very successful in their lives later on, ensuring more connections and influence for the Wayne Foundation in the future. Even if they didn't become extremely successful elsewhere, they can still be loyal employees for Wayne Solutions. But what about the unlucky ones who didn't get born with exceptional talent? We can't just forget them or throw them away. So what can we do for them that will not only benefit them in the long run, but also us? I began to explain. You decided to get them trained as professional mercenaries under the best one out there as your private force. Your loyal army, filled with orphans whom you had fed and taken care of their entire childhood, and then when they still could not achieve anything, you swept in like an angel and gave them arms and training to enable them to make their own fortune. Ha ha ha. My God, you are darker than I thought. Slade interrupted while laughing like he was having the time of his life. You have no idea. And truthfully, it doesn't matter what I am doing as long as everyone involved doesn't suffer, right? I'll make sure the people working for me never regret it, including the orphans, especially the orphans. So, I won't exactly be a hypocrite like many other actually evil manipulating bastards that exist in this world. I tried to justify myself, probably because I wasn't sure if what I was planning was right or not. Wow, I wasn't this confused even while killing those gang members back at Helena's house that night, was I? Morality is seriously a twisted little thing. You don't feel that bad while killing off adult male criminals, but you hesitate when you even try to hurt little children, cute females, or innocent animals like puppies and kittens. Yeah, whatever lets you sleep at night, pal. I don't judge stuff like this. There's plenty of other darker shit I have seen or have done to judge something as normal as manipulating orphans. No offense, by the way. Believe me, what you are doing can almost be considered pure when compared to some of the things I saw back in Afghanistan during my military career. Deathstroke shrugged like he didn't care. By the way, how much are you going to pay me for this anyway? I mean, I expect some hefty compensation under the new contract, since I am required to train so many young blood and all as well as give so much protection and stuff. He asked while rubbing his hands, reminding me of a famous money-loving shinobi from one of my favorite anime in my last world. $150 million for a 5-year contract plus $50 million more if you want to hire additional people. It's already written up. Just sign it after reading. I fished out the contract scroll from my pocket and tossed it to him. I thought you were in short of liquid cash. Did you sell your properties to pay me or something? Because don't believe for a second that I am going to give the money back. He quickly caught the contract and kept it away in his pocket. Nah, my cloud computing venture just took off. We had made a lot of investments in there and recently won a really big military contract to securely store their data and give them the services they require. Dozens of companies began to flock to us after that, as they thought we were the best company in cloud computing, since we were the first ever business to win a government contract in that sector. I explained lazily, knowing that I had just completely ruined Amazon's and Microsoft's future cloud computing businesses with our way ahead of time patented and black-boxed cloud technology. Anyways, are you in or not? I asked. 150 million? I am in, boss. I am definitely in. I am in as much as you want me to be. Hell, even you can be in for that much money. I'll even take Alfred in. Okay, I get it. You loved the amount. Just stop making this awkward. God damn it, you ruined my gym time. Now I can't even work out in peace in front of you without having a mental image of Alfred inside you. Bleg, I almost puked as I gathered my things and went towards the Batcave to delete that cursed memory forever from my mind using the nerve gear. Huh? What did I do? I was talking about teamwork and collaboration, of course. Getting Alfred involved in the project and stuff. Truly, kids these days, they have such dirty minds. Deathstroke shook his head, disappointed, like he was dissatisfied with Bruce. Bruce Wayne POV, do you have to go? I mean, first it was Helena, now it's you. What about our gang? Didn't we promise each other to always be together? Vicky asked, with a few tears barely being held back in her eyes. Vicky was the most emotional among everyone else right now after she, Selina, Alfred, Zatanna, and Deathstroke along with Ace came to see me off at the airport. Yes, we did, and I remember that. I will always remember that. So don't worry, I'll surely come back. All you have to do while I am away is just wait for me and chase your own dreams for now. After all, you always wanted to head your own news media organization, didn't you? I ruffled her hair with a knowing smile on my face. Wait, don't tell me you were the one who recently hired my dad as the editor-in-chief of Gotham News Network and Gotham Gazette? She exclaimed with amazement on her face. Well, your father deserved the promotion and the pay hike. He is quite a capable person in the industry. So, hiring him was also good for my own company. Just make sure to work hard to succeed him after it is time for him to retire and make the company even bigger, I admitted. After Wayne Entertainment's immense success primarily through copying Disney films and shows since the studio didn't exist in this universe, I had now begun to branch off. Acquiring the currently struggling Spotify and barely succeeding Netflix was just the first step to foray into the future digital streaming space. But I didn't just stop there and also acquired a couple of news companies to expand my influence in the news industry of the country, including Gotham Gazette and Gotham News Network, both of which were new struggling companies that were barely keeping themselves afloat. Thus, when I appeared in front of them like a generous investor ready to buy them while not firing even a single one of their employees, the owners were more than happy to let me in. I was also in talks to acquire the American Broadcasting Company, or ABC in short, soon. But I had no idea if the discussions were actually going to go through since I was going away, and the fact that whether the deal would happen or not would purely depend on Alfred and Lucius. Yeah, I'll definitely work hard and one day be the most famous individual in the media world, I promise. She claimed resolutely. Then, after a moment of what seemed like minute hesitation, she bent forward and timidly gave a small kiss on my cheeks to show her determination. Huh? Thanks for the kiss, I guess. I awkwardly thanked her as I took a peek at Selina, who had the most neutral expression I had ever seen on her face. Vicky didn't reply anything to me and just shyly stood there while throwing a subtle smirk at Selina, at which she just snorted amusedly, knowing that she had done a lot more than just a measly kiss on the lips. In fact, for some reason, I felt like one of those girls who was NTRing her pure innocent boyfriend while having a lewd affair with their common friend. In short, I felt like an bastard. And as for you, Zatanna, don't laze around. Who knows, maybe the next time we meet, I will have found a way to fully access the mystic arts and be better than you in magic. I teased. As if. You will never beat me in magic. I am a proud member of the mighty Zatara family, after all. There's no way you will ever beat me, she grinned as she gave me a tight hug, wrapping her developing body around me tighter than what was needed, even though I didn't resist in any way. I see. By the way, what happened to your father? He did give me a call to bid me farewell, but didn't explain why he was so busy that he couldn't come personally. I asked, raising one of my brows. Well, my father took a liking towards teaching students magic after he taught you, so when you graduated, he took up another student from a friend of his. Apparently, this new boy is quite talented and smart as well. although not nearly as smart as you or me. Anyway, today he had to perform some ritual on the kid to save him from some kind of demonic curse on his bloodline or something. Zatanna uninterestedly said. Oh, I guess that's acceptable since it really does sound like an emergency. I shrugged. A new magical student, huh? Wonder if I know him? I'll see you soon, Kitty. Take care. I then proceeded to give Selena a tight hug, which she returned quite excitedly. Come back in one piece. I'll be waiting for you, Tiger. And remember what you promised about us turning 18, as well as the fact that you are not allowed to get close to any hoes, no matter how desperate you grow due to your hormones. She whispered, now currently a tad bit more knowledgeable about stuff like these after having read up on the topic and getting herb talk from Cortana. Yeah, I will. And yes, I look ahead to that. I whispered back in a husky voice to try to rile her up. One thing I realized was that I appeared quite handsome and charming to most girls my age, and I always made sure to use that fact to my full advantage. Finishing our hug, I gave a nod to Deathstroke, at which the mercenary nodded back. Stay safe, Master Bruce. Who knows, if you come back too late, then perhaps I would take your entire fortune for myself and go on a vacation to the Bahamas after buying a private island. Alfred said with a small smile on his lips. Sure, Alfred, sure. I chucked, knowing that it was purely a joke since he was too loyal to even think of actually doing that. Plus, even if he was somehow mind-controlled or anything, the legal contract was still too complex and intricate in design to allow him to do anything like that without getting my approval first. Plus, I had some really good lawyers. Asterisk woof woof asterisk don't worry. I'll take care of them, my human best friend. Leave it to me, Databeo. The collar on Ace's neck spoke with a voice that sounded a lot like Kevin Hart. Letting your collar have that tiny little mod was really worth it, my dear anime dog. I laughed at Ace's annoyed and frustrated expression. I was glad that I had given him a peak dog serum. Even though it didn't give him any superpowers or special abilities, it still tripled his life expectancy, as well as made him the most physically fit dog in the world, besides making him extremely intelligent as well. I'll come back soon, guys. So soon that it will be like I never even went away. But I'll have to bid you guys goodbye for now. I did a theatrical bow as I backed away to my private jet. Asterisk sigh asterisk, I surely will miss them, but I really need to do this. This is my ticket to the ultimate training that I need, to become the force that can bring about true balance to this chaotic universe, to attain true peace. I thought to myself as I went up the stairs to my jet while waving to the family that I was temporarily leaving behind. Bruce Wayne POV. My Senate position is more or less confirmed in the coming elections this year, as my ratings are out of the chart due to the huge budget you allocated for my campaign, so you don't have to worry about that. The main question is if I'll be able to get the Senate Majority Leader position or not after I get elected, because that will be a little difficult since I am new in the field and the party. Jonathan Kent, my newest political muse, reported to me. Don't worry, I believe in you, Mr. Kent. That's why I invested in you in the first place. However, getting that majority leader position will be an extremely essential strategic achievement if you want to run for vice president position in the next elections and for president after that. It will be the most efficient way for you to show your hard work and priorities to people, while also being able to make all the political connections you need to further your career. I said in a neutral voice. I understand your worries, Bruce. I'll try my best to win the upcoming elections. In fact, I think I'll be increasing my campaign by attending more public events after this. He nodded, looking really determined. Anyway, what about your friend and neighbor, Ross or something? Didn't he want to run for the Senate position as well? I thought that you said he even got a lot of public support. Would he be a problem? I asked, not realizing how scary I sounded while asking that. What? Of course not. He is a friend, not a threat. Plus, we have decided to team up for our political career. He is running for the position of the governor of Kansas, while I go for the senator post. The older Kent quickly explained. Oh, then that's all right, I guess. I nodded in appreciation with an awkward smile. By the way, don't hesitate to ask if you need more funds or resources. Remember, winning the senator position is the most important thing for you right now, not saving money. I reminded him. Yes, I understand, Bruce. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Darling, you are still discussing politics with Bruce? It has been 2 hours. You will bore the marbles out of the kid if you continue like this. Also, you haven't even had your lunch yet. By the way, how are you, Bruce, honey? You should visit us at the farm again and bring Vicky and Selena with you as well. We really miss you guys. Even Clark misses you. That's why he tries to get in touch with you at least once a week. Martha Kent interrupted her husband, trying her best to fit into the camera frame in the video call. I will after I come back from this spiritual trip of mine, I promise. Anyway, I might not be able to contact you directly for a while after this due to my, soul-searching trip, so I'll say this now, best of luck in the elections. If you need anything, don't hesitate to contact Alfred or Cortana. They would take care of any problems you could possibly have, so don't be shy in asking for their help. Also, you guys took those vitamin shots I sent you, right? They are the newest products from our company and are meant to make people have a longer life and healthier lifespan. It will restore your bodies to much better states than what they are currently at, so much so that you two of you will be as healthy as horses after taking them. I finished. The serum that I sent them was a diluted version of the peak-tier serum. It was a lab-tested, commercialized product meant for the public in a few years, the administering of which could help the user live for 10 to 20 years longer without suffering any side effects or being affected by most genetic or other diseases that came from old age, as long as one took repeated doses of the drug. This was specifically made to make sure that both members of the Kent couple remained alive despite their old age or the results of their stupid decisions curtsy to some underlying hidden mental problems. After all, I had a lot of investment riding on them and their successes, and I'll be damned if I let all of that go to waste. No, I'll even drag the Kent patriarch back from hell if I needed to in order for him to pay me back by subtly manipulating the government to my benefit. I deserved at least that for all the troubles I went through to get the do-gooder advance in his political career, while making sure that his family no longer suffered from any monetary or any other problems. Okay then, Bruce, and once again thank you for everything you did for us. Are you sure you don't want to say hello to Clark and Crypto as well? They might be coming back from their walk any minute. Mrs. Kent asked. No, it's okay. I already talked to them yesterday. Plus I'll be reaching my destination soon, so I'll have to go. Bye. I bid goodbye to them both as I cut the call and closed my new Wayne laptop. Wow, that took more time than expected. Cortana's voice suddenly chimed out from my watch. Yeah, politics is such a complex topic after all, even more than business. Business is all about profit and loss, but politics is completely different. It is a much more complicated subject than what I am comfortable with. It's a good thing that I won't have to be the one playing politics with old men all day, since I hired my own old man to do exactly that. I smirked at my own joke as I thought about John Kent, who thought that I was actually doing him a favor by helping him pursue his passion in politics, while the truth was the complete opposite. Sir, we are going to land soon. I advise getting your seatbelt on. A beautiful air hostess came up to me and informed me before leaving while letting her bubble but slightly brush my hands in a seductive manner. She had been making eyes at me from the very beginning of the journey, probably trying to seduce the immature and young heir of the Wayne family, but unfortunately for her, I was not interested in her at all. I was too paranoid to just sleep with an unknown stranger who could be a psychotic criminal or assassin in disguise for all I knew, and thus not stupid enough to let myself be at my weakest point in their presence, while also giving them access to my DNA to make some evil clone that could be destined to one day destroy the world or something. Nope, I was at least smarter than that. Plus, I knew girls much hotter than her. I thought as I sighed, already missing the pseudo-family that I had made in this world. Tightening my seatbelt, I leaned on the sofa, hoping to get a quick shut-eye till the plane landed. There was almost no jerking in the air, even when the plane was traveling at the speed of Mach 1 or when it went through the clouds. The entire inside of the plane seemed so stable that it was almost like it wasn't even moving. That was of course because this was my own private jet. A Bombardier Global 8000, heavily customized by Wayne Solutions, which basically meant I was the one who had customized the entire plane from head to toe. Its outer appearance was still the same as before, but its specs were now completely on another level. Being rich does have its perks, doesn't it? I muttered to myself as I took a deep breath and closed my eyes after taking one last sip of my mocktail. It sure does, Cortana replied almost immediately. Omniscient POV. A sprawling city surrounded by mountains. Numerous people went about their business. Traders ran their small shops, and a few animals walked on the streets trying to search for food while nature played its part and wrapped its unimaginable beauty all around the city. This was the wonderful city of Kathmandu. Excuse me, have you heard of a place called Kamar Taj? No? Okay, thank you for your time. A handsome boy in his mid-teens was currently walking the roads of the city in search of something that only he knew about, but unfortunately, he had found nothing but disappointment for the last half an hour. It seems it doesn't exist in this world after all. Well, I already knew that, but I could not help but try a last-ditch effort after coming to the city. However, it would have been quite fun if it had actually existed. Maybe then, I could have found a way to access sorcery without getting affected or corrupted by its power. He muttered to himself as he went towards the direction of a particular monastery in the city. He didn't have to walk a lot and soon reached his destination in just a little over 10 minutes. It was a huge, beautiful golden monastery on the outskirts of the main city of Kathmandu called Kopan Monastery. The very landmark seemed to emit an aura of peace and tranquility as the entire area around it seemed to be in a state of absolute serenity, like it was the ultimate symbol of absolute peace and calm. So how the hell am I going to reach the League of Assassins? I am positive that this is the address I was supposed to come to. Would somebody pick me up, or do I have to find out about their HQ myself? Is this supposed to be a test? Also, if they think that I am going to wait here outside in the cold like in those Shaolin martial arts movies, they have got another thing coming. Bruce thought, annoyed, unaffected by the peace and serenity all around him. However, he still waited for about an hour outside the monastery, but no one approached him. Hell, no one was even nearby to approach him. Just when Bruce was debating on whether to go inside the monastery and start asking people if they had heard of an assassin group called the League of Assassins living around this area, a man in usual local attire suddenly appeared out of thin air and came towards him with a basket full of fruits in his hands. "Take a fruit," the man only said as he inched the fruit basket towards Bruce. Bruce didn't say anything as he just took an apple from the basket, after which the man silently left without saying a single more word. After the man left, Bruce, however, didn't eat the apple, nor did he throw it away. Instead, he carefully cut it open, and as he had suspected, he was right. The inside of the apple was hollowed out, in which there was a small piece of paper. He took out the paper piece from inside the apple and opened it. There was a single address inside the paper, which was more like the name of a mountain peak instead of a specific address. But the moment he read it, Bruce knew what was expected of him. He was supposed to find the place on his own by spending days or even weeks mountain trekking in the cold, getting lost in the snow, and being attacked by dangerous animals of the wild until he would finally reach his destination, where he would then be applauded for his willpower and at last trained by them like they were doing him a favor by teaching him. The entire thing was just a freaking mind game, one that Bruce had no wish to play. So cheat he would. After all, he was a devout believer in working smart rather than working hard. Omniscient POV, on a mountaintop filled with snow and ice, a lone man was standing with only a thin robe barely covering his body, unfazed by the unbearing cold that was freezing for the hundreds of black-clothed assassins working and practicing their techniques in front of him as he watched them all with a blank expression on his face. If Bruce were here, he would be able to recognize this man as someone looking really similar to Liam Neeson, if Liam Neeson looked like a murderous vampire dictator with severe psychopathic tendencies. Do you think he will pass, Roz? It has been a week and we haven't received any news from our spies, not even a single sighting. A buff-looking man standing beside the Liam Neeson lookalike asked in a low voice, filled with respect. It doesn't matter what I think, Ubu. What matters is what happens. If he passes, we can move forward with the next part of our plan. If he doesn't, then I guess we go back to searching for someone else again. The man named Roz answered. But then what about the prophecy? The prophecy was clear about the glorious rebirth of the League under the new demon of the night, on the path paved by someone of the blood of the Wayne. If he somehow dies while he is not the only Wayne out there. There have been many Waynes down the years. Most are dead, but some can easily be brought back to life. You, my friend, underestimate the power of the Lazarus Lit and the sorcery the League possesses. Even though I do not personally like the dark arts, nor do I prefer them, the fact still remains that they still do exist with their immense potential, and we can always use them if things ever become that dire. Roz explained. I understand. I was foolish for thinking that the great demon's head wouldn't be able to find a way out of a mere prophecy. Ubu lowered his head in respect, his eyes glittering with blind loyalty. Raz Al Ghul didn't say anything else and just stared at his men training. It had only barely been a week since he had given Bruce the test of finding and reaching this place. Normally, people can't reach this place even after months of exploration. This village, no. This small city was hidden from satellites due to its heavy cloud cover. Even planes and helicopters could not fly low enough to register this place in their scanners due to the unique positioning of the mountains around it. So, it wasn't a wonder that almost no one knew about this headquarters of theirs, the Nanda Parbat. They themselves occupied only a portion of the massive mountain, but it was more than enough for them. Their hidden city was strategically one of the most elusive places in the world, and was one of the main reasons why he liked this city almost as much as his original base in the Arabian Peninsula. I don't think we will be seeing him before at least a few weeks. After all, even I took more than 2 weeks to find this place on my own when I first heard of it from a priest of Ramakrishna about 500 years ago. Whoosh! The sudden sound of a plane suddenly interrupted him as both he and Ubu looked at the sky in mild surprise. A plane in this area? Is it lost? Ubu wondered aloud. Planes flying through here would normally crash into the mountain if they flew too low. Only the best and most expensive military-grade jets could successfully fly well above these mountains and not get affected by the cold. No, it's flying considerably higher than normal planes. So, it's probably a military jet, here on a routine patrol. Ras Al Ghul's words were again stopped in his mouth as he saw something get dropped from the jet. Is it a bomb? Ubu was mildly surprised. Did anyone find out about their hidden city? But it should not be possible, and any considerable explosion at this height could destabilize the entire mountain and could destroy the nearby cities or even cause a big earthquake in the worst scenario. So, no government should be crazy enough to do that. Of course, he wasn't too worried. Their hidden city had quite a number of defenses placed all around, which even included magical defenses to evade the eyes of mages and sorcerers, as well as protect the city in case of surprise or large-scale attacks. No, it's a person. Raz said with disbelief painted on his face at what he was seeing, and yet could not deny the sight being shown to him by his trained eyes. But that should be suicide. The high winds and immense cold at this height should make parachute jumping impossible. Whoever that person is would probably become a red splash on the mountain, even before he is able to open his parachute. And even if does open it, he would still die as he would get dragged off with the wind, or the parachute would itself get too frozen for the mechanism to work properly. Ubu said as he looked at the unfortunate soul who was idiot enough to try skydiving here of all places. But contrary to his expectations, the figure continued to descend like an unstoppable missile, his path of descent as stable as possible, heading straight in their direction. 3,000 feet, 2,500 feet, 2,000 feet, the distance between them and the ground was continuously reducing. However, the person didn't try to open their parachute as they continued to freefall like someone with a wish to die. It was only at 1,500 feet that a parachute much smaller than a typical one opened, which was perfect to resist high wind. The figure's descent began to slow down, but not at all at a rate that would offer the person a safe landing. Instead, the now clearly visible figure who was dressed in all-white combat clothes fell with a big thud even with his parachute open. He landed crouching on his legs with only one arm touching the ground for support, a little away from where Ras Al Ghul and Ubu were standing. "You still alive there?" Raz asked a few seconds later, staring at the unmoving figure, his immense surprise not visible on his expressionless face and neutral voice. "Never better," the jumper answered as he slowly stood up, not at all looking like he was hurt from the fall. "Love the weather, by the way," he further added as he stretched his arms and legs and cut off the parachute from his back. "Then may I ask who you are now?" The demon's head asked as his trusted aide Ubu took a slightly defensive position behind him, ready to kill or even be killed for his master if the situation called for it. "Huh? You don't know me? But I thought you were the one who invited me. This is a little awkward." "Wait, I know. You probably don't recognize me due to this stupid face mask. Here, now you should be able to see my handsome face." The person dressed in all white opened his helmet to reveal his face. Bruce Wayne. Ras Al Ghul uttered as realization struck him after looking at the now uncovered charming face of the orphan billionaire. In the flesh. Bruce performed a theatrical bow. "I didn't expect you to reach this place like this. I guess it was my fault for not specifying that you needed to climb the mountain to come here. But again, ordinary people aren't crazy enough to try that jump," he said with a chuckle, not trying to blame Bruce for using his smarts. "Yeah, but I am not ordinary people, am I? And I doubt you wanted an ordinary person to reach this place. Anyway, since I reached this city, are you going to train me, or are you going to give me some other task and make this a needlessly complicated and long process, even when you know that I'll pass every one of them with flying colors?" Bruce asked, absolute confidence oozing from his voice. "So, you want to learn? To grow powerful beyond what you are capable of as a mere ordinary human? To be at the absolute peak of humanity?" Ras Al Ghul asked, trying to entice Bruce and manipulate him into thinking that he was giving him a chance of a lifetime by letting him join. "Of course, why do you think I'm even here, out in nowhere freezing my butt off instead of having a vacation in Hawaii, knock off Liam? Bruce asked with an arrogant smirk on his face. Good. Then from today on, you will be my new student. Rest for today because from tomorrow, your life will be a new type of hell, one filled with absolute discipline. Ubu, show our young billionaire here to the guest quarters and give him enough food and water. He will need it, Roz said, ignoring Bruce's arrogant remarks. Oh, and I advise you to stop behaving like a spoiled child from now on, or your arrogance could one day make you pay a hefty penalty. He added. Me, spoiled and arrogant? You must be dreaming, Mr. Dracula. I am the most humble kid billionaire on the planet. Anyway, I am quite tired, so I'll need to have my beauty sleep. So I guess I'll follow you, Mr. Buff. Bruce smugly replied with a helpless shrug. Ubu didn't react to the insult. He was too trained to react to minor insults like these. He just bowed to Ra's al Ghul and went towards one of the bigger houses, not caring if Bruce followed him or not. By the way, what do I call you? I don't think I can call you Dracula for the rest of my training period. Can I, even though I really want to? He asked, picking up a small backpack attached to the base of the parachute as he prepared to follow Ubu. Call me Ra's al Ghul, or Roz for short. Everyone here calls me that. Head of the Demon. Cool choice for a name. I guess that's where the logo on your letter comes from. Bruce muttered aloud as he began to follow Ubu, not caring to prolong the conversation with the centuries-old assassin. His personality is a lot different than what was reported. Even his body language matched with his arrogant personality. His voice, his smiles, and his way of talking all indicated the same thing. He is one of the most selfish, greedy, arrogant, and narcissistic people I have ever met, and I have met quite a few. Ra's al Ghul thought to himself, a while after Bruce left, wondering how his subordinates, especially one of his most capable, Lady Shiva, could have reported such inaccurate information about one of the most important targets they were keeping tabs on. But still, that's good. Controlling him would be much easier now. He thought with a small smile on his lips. He was confident that in just a few years he could mold Bruce to be the type of person he wanted. To shape him into the instrument he needed to further evolve the League, and perhaps for him to even be the successor that Ra's al Ghul had been searching for so long. Ra's al Ghul would train Bruce with everything he had, but he would also make full use of him when the time came, even if that meant taking his body for himself in case the kid didn't turn out to be what Ra's desired for him to become. But Bruce Wayne would serve his purpose nonetheless, as a tool for the League of Assassins. Bruce Wayne POV, it's official, I am one of the best goddamn actors on the entire fudging planet. I think I was a better Tony Stark than even Robert Downey Jr. himself, although that might be pushing it a little bit too much. I even fully expected that I would definitely get found out, but it seemed I was either too good an actor or Ra's al Ghul had just grown too old to tell I was acting. Guess reading all those books on acting and body language finally paid off, huh? I am glad my ability lets me quickly learn skills like these, as long as I have gained enough knowledge about them. Now, one might ask, why was I acting like a spoiled billionaire child who was definitely smart and determined, but was too arrogant for his own good? Simple, it's because I wanted to give Ra's al Ghul as much false data about myself as I could to prevent him or anyone else from creating an accurate psyche profile on me, so that they would not be able to use it against me later. Because let's face it, mind games are a thing, especially in a twisted universe like DC, and just because I was a transmigrator didn't mean I was above them. I am as much emotional as any other normal human being, maybe with a little bit more control over my emotions than the average, but that didn't mean I was immune to anyone's mind games, at least not yet. But I was definitely working towards that. But on the brighter side, I am now positive that I can act as a spoiled billionaire playboy if I ever need to. The original Bruce Wayne always did exactly that to hide his Batman counterpart better, and make sure that people could never link his public face to his secret vigilante persona. Anyway, that's too much about my brilliant acting skills. Now, let's come back to the actual topic everyone is interested in. How does the hidden city of the League of Assassins look? Well, not that impressive, truthfully. I have only had the opportunity to look at the town once. That was when I landed in front of it in style, but the design of the small city in itself completely failed to impress me. I mean, the town was brilliant from a strategic point of view, but from the point of architecture, it was as ordinary as any small mountain town. It could have been better and more attractive if enough money was spent on it, but unfortunately for Ra's al Ghul, he neither had access to the absurd amount of money that was needed to modernize an entire town, since not everyone was me, aka Bruce Wayne, nor did he have any need for it. In fact, I even had to spend my entire first night here sleeping on a mattress-less bed, which was uncomfortable as hell. But that might just be them trying to humble me instead of actual poverty, since I didn't think they were poor enough to not even be able to afford a single mattress. Also, I hadn't been given a tour of the city yet. In fact, I had more or less been imprisoned in a little room they had allocated me. And the worst thing was that they didn't even give me the Wi-Fi password since apparently, they hadn't gotten a Wi-Fi yet. I mean, just imagine what type of animals they truly are. I was extremely lucky that I had decided against not bringing some of my less obvious but useful gadgets with me. My smartwatch, which was actually smart with Cortana inside, connected me with the local satellites the moment I landed here, enabling me to use the entire country's 2G networks, since it still hadn't started rolling out 3G yet. Cortana, remind me to make a satellite internet constellation after I return. I don't want to face a no-internet or low-speed internet situation ever again in my life, I said in all seriousness. Got it, sir. Any particular name for the scheduled project? She asked in a low voice, making sure that no one else could hear it outside the room. Name it Ultra Starlink. I smiled as I remembered the dream project of a very famous billionaire in my previous life. I wonder if he exists in this world as well. I thought to myself. I never searched for him specifically, so he might or might not exist. But again, even if he did exist in this world, he would be more or less useless to me. In a world like this, geniuses had a particularly high bar and most average geniuses could invent jetpacks or freezing guns on their own, so a car-loving nerdy introvert wouldn't be of much help. I had also brought a few of my drones with me to this little expedition, but I wasn't going to release them right now because I was sure that they would most certainly get caught by Ra's al Ghul or one of his minions who had mastered their senses through the use of chi regardless of how silent or stealthy my drones were. Hey Waynine brat, dress up. The demon's head has decided to start your first lesson today. The familiar voice of a beefy minion came from outside my door, which broke my chain of thoughts. At last, I was almost beginning to think that you guys had just called me here for my charming personality instead of my amazing talents. I giggled silently as I heard the man outside my door scoffing in annoyance, but still didn't retort to my words. I guess Ra's al Ghul teaches his minions some good manners and stuff, since Ubu until now had succeeded in not giving any big reaction to my sarcasm. After I was done dressing up, I went outside to meet with Ubu, who was standing patiently outside my door with a neutral expression on his face, making it impossible for anyone to know what the man was thinking exactly. Come, he said just a single word before strutting off to God knows where. Does the man really speak so little, or does he just not like having a heart-to-heart with someone like me? Even though I was in a mood to annoy the hell out of someone with my newly developed Tony Stark personality, I still wisely kept my mouth shut and silently followed the Kali lookalike. Yeah, that's how big he was. The place where I was staying was well in the outer regions of the town. I had thought that Ubu would be giving me a short tour of the small city while taking me to Ra's al Ghul. But turns out that I was wrong on both fronts. Instead, he took me even higher up the mountain where the temperature was literally freezing and the entire surroundings were covered with ice. Also, the worst thing was that we traveled the entire distance walking and trekking, all the while I was in a normal winter coat. Now, this normally would have killed the normal me and incapacitated the chi-trained and regularly exercising me, but after being a more or less perfected version of a super soldier, I was unstoppable, and minor threats like cold or heat were nothing to me as long as they didn't cross absurd levels. So even after almost reaching the top of the mountain peak we were climbing, I was as calm as the moment we started this journey, while Ubu on the other hand looked slightly out of breath. What? Did you get tired so quickly? Seems you need to work out more, don't you? Looks like you are getting fat. I smirked condescendingly at the poor bodyguard who said nothing and just continued to walk toward a single old wooden hut with its back against the mountain, standing like a lonely island in the middle of a sea of white snow. But entering the hut, I finally realized that what I was considering a small shack before was actually a full-fledged temple/dojo/museum all combined into one. As a matter of fact, the place looked a lot like Jade Palace from Kung Fu Panda if Jade Palace was completely made of wood and if its designer had a sense of style that could be considered old. This is the Demon Head's private dojo. You will practice here for the next few days and master the very first technique one needs to learn inside our organization. Only after you master this will you be taught anything else or be allowed to use any of our other resources, Ubu said while handing me a small curled-up scroll. Wait, Roz won't be coming himself personally? So, you basically brought me here using false advertising? Not cool, man, not cool. I mean, I get how you want to spend time with me, everyone does. My charm does that to people, but you can't lie for that. You could have just told me the truth, and I would have gladly. I could not finish as Ubu just turned his back on me and left the hut with hurried steps, probably to vomit blood somewhere since he looked like he had some Asian heritage in him. Really, people nowadays. Not the slightest bit of decency. I shrugged as I began to open the scroll, my eyes now having lost their previous playful smirk and replaced by ice-cold seriousness. However, as soon as I took a peek inside the old scroll, I almost slapped my own forehead at my stupidity because inside the scroll was the single basic technique that almost anyone in a comic world could and should have to save themselves from the danger of mind grape. How I hadn't thought of this particular famous technique before I had no idea. Inside the scroll was the most famous mind protection technique ever. It was the most basic and fundamental technique that could potentially protect against all forms of low and even mid-tier mind attacks if your mind was strong enough. Depicted in different works of fiction by various names like the Gantzfield or the Vault, its most famous name among geeks and enthusiasts was however the Mind Palace, the single best mental method for visualization, memory storage, and retrieval, visualization aid as well as mental protection in dangerous worlds like DC and Marvel multiverses where your mind was more unsafe than your virginity. Well, better late than never I guess, since this will definitely add to my mental processing power as well as contribute to my mental defenses alongside my necklace. I thought as I took a single look at the entire scroll and then threw it away, having memorized the entire thing, curtsy to my photographic memory. Now let's start making the most complicated mind palace ever. One so over-the-top complex that even telepaths who dare enter my mind will have to cry tears of blood to get out. I thought darkly, a menacing and sadistic grin slowly forming on my lips. Oh, I am gonna have so much fun with this. If I ever manage to get out of the DC multiverse, then I am going to sue all the fanfiction authors out there for making this mind palace thing seem so effortlessly easy. I mean, I get it, this skill is one of the most important mental skills out there to protect and strengthen your mind, but that does not mean that one can just automatically possess a heaven-defying talent for it and will be able to master it after just a few hours or days of learning it, and that too better than the indigenous people who have been practicing the same technique for years or decades. I myself have a cheat that literally let me know how stuff works in real life, but even with that, I took about an hour to even get the first step of the process done, which was to look into my own mind, which was just a fancy way of saying lucid dreaming, sort of. The basic fundamental on which this technique operated was by dreaming up a world that would be so well thought out, so detailed, and so connected to one's subconsciousness that even if one woke up, it still wouldn't fade away. Instead, it would be the bridge between their conscious thinking and their underlying subconsciousness. A place that would signify one's entire mind itself. Now on paper, it sounds like a really easy job without any strict limits to its scale, but practically it isn't. Like, I remember reading a certain Harry Potter fanfiction in my previous life where the main character made up an entire planet along with the sun and the sky as their mind palace, but the thing is that it is literally impossible unless the person is someone like Azimuth from Ben 10 with a nonillion IQ or something. This is simply because making your mind palace isn't exactly free. No, just like you need real material resources to construct a real building, you need actual memory and mental energy, which is basically your mind's unique processing power to build your own mind palace. Believe me, when a genius like Sherlock Holmes is limited to a library-sized mind palace, an average reincarnate having an Earth-sized subconsciousness is questionable. But that doesn't mean it wasn't possible. It definitely was as long as you were really, really smart. I am sure people like Rick Sanchez could have a super city as their mind palace, but for me right now, that was just a pipe dream. Until I successfully perfect the NZT-48 pill without any side effects, that is. Anyway, as I was saying, after I successfully dived into my own mind, I wasn't greeted by white space or something. What I was greeted with instead was the familiar inside of a mansion, the Wayne Mansion to be specific. Only this one inside my subconsciousness was a little different. This one looked like it was some kind of weird imperfect combination of a mansion and an average ordinary home that was struggling to even keep itself standing. It looked like a joke, to be truthful. Seems my mind really is a toxic place to be at. I thought with a small smirk. It seemed that living two lives had some consequences, and one of them was a very ugly-looking psyche. But I can always change that. After all, that is what the technique is for. Now, the process that I learned from the scroll is simple. I have to build my mind palace in this space by replacing this hideous mansion normal house combo, chosen by my psyche, on default with someplace that I am comfortable and familiar with. The scroll advises everyone to use a site that's not only roughly the same size as the place chosen on default by the user's mind, but also advise that the place should resonate with their thoughts on their version of safety and comfort. So, I of course made my choice based on its advice and decided to use a comfortable and harmless dungeon as my mind palace. Now, just hear me out. A dungeon would be perfect for me because I would not only be able to increase its floors as my brain becomes better and better over time with the continuous absorption of knowledge and the possible usage of some intelligence-increasing drugs I might develop and perfect later down the line, but also, the defense provided by a mind palace in the form of a dungeon would definitely be one of the best in the world. So after about 6 or 7 hours of meticulous designing, I finally came up with what I thought would be the ultimate mind dungeon. The first floor through which one would enter was relatively safe, with only family-friendly puzzles and trick questions to get passage. It was supposed to make people feel safe and at ease, thinking that they had a very good chance to break into my mind vault. Of course, it was all just a ploy to get them to come further. But giving wrong answers might still land you in the path of dangerous traps like flying poison line knives, acid mist, or flesh-eating piranhas. But compared to the floor below it, all this was just childish stuff. Nothing too over the top. The second floor was the floor of agents. Yeah, the agents from the Matrix. The floor was full of them, on top of being a fully secured military base with state-of-the-art security tech that could detect anyone and efficiently neutralize them if needed. Now, if someone dies inside my mind palace, I do not get their memories or anything. It doesn't work like that. But that was why I was trying to design a Mr. Anderson-type agent who could act as my virus to clone himself into other people's minds, thus taking over their bodies under my control. But unfortunately, it seems like I have no idea how to effectively do that yet. Maybe, a course from an experienced mind reader like the Martian Manhunter could inspire me later. Now, the next floor, which was the third floor, was where the real fun began. The entire floor looked like the inside of a giant pyramid filled with flesh-eating bugs, and wait for it. Xenomorphs. These xenomorphs didn't just have razor-sharp tails, teeth, and claws, but also acid saliva to make invading beings feel a world of hurt. Also, they possessed the ability to make chestbusters inside the astral body of the assailant. These chestbusters did not only give extreme maddening pain to the ones stupid enough to invade my mind, but also naturally added to my growing army by making new improved xenomorphs as my mind guards. Of course, that is until I decide to give the intruder some sweet release from his pain. The fourth floor, on the other hand, was different from the rest. It was the exact copy of one of my favorite dungeons ever. It was the Cartenon Temple, the D-rank dungeon from Solo Leveling, making this floor the one floor in my mind dungeon that was supposed to be unbeatable. Only after one completed all the hidden requirements of the fourth floor by figuring out what Sung Jin Woo did the first time he went into the dungeon, could one pass, as a result of which he would be allowed to exit. Yes, exit, not entry. Even clearing and passing through all 4 floors would just allow you to exit my mind palace, not enter the secret 5th floor hidden right beneath the throne of the architect statue on the 4th floor. This 5th floor was where my real memories were stored. It was my real mind library. A place that resembled the library and study of the Wayne Mansion and had millions of books stored in it. Each book in the library, coated in fireproof covers, contained all the knowledge I had learned and the different skills I had perfected over time, with a lot of space remaining for the skills that I will master in the future. Hell, there were even multiple copies of each book stored in different sections, just to make sure that none of them were ever completely destroyed somehow. But there was not even a single bit of my personal memory in any of these books. Instead, all my memories about both my current and previous lives, except my knowledge about the DC multiverse, were stored in a supercomputer the size of a small laptop, one that was designed by yours truly, and then hidden in a secret vault made of depleted promethium, hardest fictional metal I actually knew the atomic structure of currently, due to it existing in DC. As for my limited knowledge about DC, at least what I still remembered from my last life was written in a small red pocket diary, and was kept in a secret chamber subtly hidden under the secret vault. This was the current limit of what I could do about my mental defense. Now, I could go ahead and just release some more dragons and stuff, but truthfully, I doubt they would be more useful than an entire fudging hive of xenomorphs prowling about in there. So for now, I was satisfied. I knew that nothing short of a planetary-level telepath, taking his sweet time with breaking apart my defenses brick by brick, would be able to access my mind. And with the addition of my mind protection pendant, that possibility was even more limited. So after I was done with everything, I checked, rechecked, and double rechecked to make sure that there was not even the tiniest chink in my mental defenses before deciding to approach Ra's al Ghul. I knew he would be checking my mental defenses thoroughly before teaching me anything else. That was why I wanted to be extra sure. After all, him having the slightest doubt about me not being the original Bruce Wayne would be quite dangerous for me. I guess back to my dashing Tony Stark personality it is. I thought as an arrogant and confident smile made its way to my lips, signifying my pride in perfecting although some features like Mr. Anderson are still under development, the mental discipline so soon. Omniscient POV. You should have a very good reason to have interrupted my time with my wife Ubu. Raz Al Ghul, who was sitting in front of a grave calmly, said without even taking a look at the figure standing behind him as he continued to arrange a bouquet of flowers. I do. Bruce has completed constructing his mind palace. Ubu answered with his head down. Raz Al Ghul's hands, which were arranging a bouquet of flowers like an unstoppable well-oiled machine, suddenly stopped as he lost his focus for a second. His eyes colored with surprise. Interesting. It seems that the kid truly has potential. If I remember correctly, this should be a record. I don't think anybody from the league has managed to successfully create their entire mind palace within a single day. Raz Al Ghul had a small pleased smile tugging on his lips as he began to arrange the flowers even quicker. Your elder daughter did. She completed her mind palace in. She is a girl. It doesn't matter how quickly she completes her task, because she won't be inheriting the league. All she is good for is birthing a new heir. Even the training my daughters received has been just to make sure they don't get used against me by my enemies, or that their weak bodies don't deliver useless heirs. Raz Al Ghul calmly explained with a neutral expression on his face, like he was talking about the weather. And they know this as well. I made sure of it. I see, my liege. But do you really think that rich little spoiled arrogant boy will ever be good enough to be the heir to the league? He will burn down this establishment if he ever gets unrestricted reign over it. Ubu tried to let his thoughts known. It seems he really got over your nerves, didn't he? But you see, old friend, the league is mine, and the decision on whether to let it be burned down by someone or not is also mine. You will not have any say over it. The old assassin said with each and every word of his possessing a unique tranquility of its own. Forgive me, Raz Al Ghul. I spoke outside my own limit. If you think Bruce is good enough to lead the League of Assassins, it means he is. Ubu submissively said, making sure that Raz had no misunderstanding of his intentions. Now, let's go and see how much has he truly mastered the art of protecting one's mind. He said as he placed the now completely and neatly arranged flower bouquet on the grave and slowly stood up. Lead the way, Ubu. Let's go and see my new favorite student. Are you guys sure that this eerie-looking green crystal can test my mental protection? I mean, I truthfully expected someone to just somehow force themselves into my mind. Touching a green glowing rock isn't exactly what I had in mind. Are you sure I won't get cancer or something from this? Bruce asked, trying to fish for more information. But unfortunately for him, neither Raz nor his trusted servant said anything. So he just sighed and went ahead and touched the crystal without wasting any more time. What the hell? Bruce yelled in surprise, which startled both Raz Al Ghul and Ubu, but none of them reacted as they heard his next words. It's too cold. Somebody should have warmed this up. What about pain? Don't you feel any sort of pain in your head? Ubu asked, trying to understand how deep the crystal's mental probe affected Bruce. The more pain one feels after touching the crystal, the deeper the probe has successfully pierced into their mind. Normally untrained people would immediately lose consciousness when they touch the crystal, since the energy of the crystal would penetrate really deep into their mindscape. But Bruce, not even giving the smallest reaction after clearly touching the crystal, made it very hard for either Ubu or Raz Al Ghul to understand how effective his mental defenses really were. No, not really. I mean, there was a slight tingling sensation in my head, like a couple of slimy tentacles trying to give me a massage, but there wasn't any pain. Bruce answered. He knew what the crystal had tried to do, but his newly created mental defenses, combined with his carefully hidden thought-scrambling pendant, made sure that there was no way any disgusting psychic tentacle could pierce into his mind. I see. Then congratulations, Bruce Wayne. You have passed the first test. From now on, you are officially a student of the League of Assassins, one that I will train personally. I will create the finest weapon out of you, make you into the sharpest blade there is, and transform you into fear itself. But remember, the moment I feel that you have stopped improving yourself, the moment you stop giving your best, the moment you become dull, I will cut you down for a more deserving weapon to take your place. That is my promise, the promise of your new sensei, Raz Al Ghul. The centuries-old assassin master said with a straight face, not trying to sugarcoat his words even the tiniest bit. I expect nothing less. And I accept. As long as you teach me everything you know, I am yours to command. Sensei, Bruce answered as he went on his knees in a bow as a small show of respect to his new master, while promising himself that this was going to be the first and only time he would ever bow down before a nefarious villain. Bruce bowed today so that he would never have to again. Good. Now let's start our training. I have a lot of things to teach you and a lot of things to correct in you. So that by the end of it all, you will be the most dangerous force in the world, one that humanity truly needs." The demon's head smiled as he placed his hand on Bruce's shoulder. "Come, we have a lot to do." Bruce Wayne POV. Agreeing to let Ra's al Ghul be my sensei and giving him full control over my training might have been the biggest mistake I have ever made in my life. Because I was not at all prepared for the absolutely brutal and inhumane training that Ra's al Ghul would start giving me. I mean, even with my super body, I was barely surviving the punishment being given to me on a regular basis. I didn't even have to act too much to make sure that Ra's al Ghul did not even suspect that I possessed any sort of extraordinary power or ability, since I wanted him to know as less about me as possible. But the real question in my mind was, how in the goddamn hell did the real Batman survive this training? There is absolutely no way that a normal human like OG Bruce Wayne, even if he does have a peak human body, can survive a backbreaking workout like the stuff Ra's was making me do. And I don't even mean that as a fancy sense of speech or something. He literally once forced me to carry 2 massive blocks of iron on my back, and then made me go up and down the entire mountain multiple times as the starting workout, which although barely made me sweat, still would have definitely broken any normal person's back. And that was just the start. He would force me to wrestle with literal bears on the mountain, clash swords with dozens of his ninjas for hours on end, force me to take a bath in the bone-chilling cold ice water, and even make me balance on the slippery slope of the mountain. I am pretty sure if stuff went on like this, he would one day force me to make a leap of faith from the top of the mountain. In fact, he has actually tried to push me down the cliff multiple times, chalking it up to him trying to teach me to keep track of my surroundings. Yeah, Ra's al Ghul was a savage piece of shit who completely believed in the swim or drown tactics of teaching. However, fortunately for him, it worked out because I was gobbling up everything he threw towards me. Every lesson, every skill, every little trick up his sleeves. I was making sure to understand and learn everything. He taught me hunting, fishing, survival, fighting, the importance of distractions, and even torturing, which, believe me or not, was actually quite an important part of the lessons. I knew I would most probably be using it the most among everything he taught me. And rightly so, since 90% of what Batman actually does in Gotham is intimidation, which is a part of how to effectively torture your enemy mentally. 101. Hell, the sheer number of skills he taught me was more than my father ever did. At normal times, the guy was quite likable as he acted as a dear close friend who wanted nothing more than just to help you reach your highest potential. But the times when he talked about the slow gradual rotting of human civilization and how destroying them is the sworn holy duty of the League to better facilitate the cycle of the world was when you realized that the person sitting before you was one of the countless maniacs in the world who wanted nothing more than to just spread death and destruction in the name of helping the world. The guy wanted nothing to do with redemption and doing good. All he cared about was his legacy, a grand death, and a truly deserving heir. He was absolutely nuts according to my standards of what sane individuals should be like in a normal world. And that's why, despite him acting like my best friend and a father figure all the time to brainwash me, I still saw straight through his deceptions, through his act. I knew who he was, and a few sugary words of how he was proud of me wasn't going to change it. But despite all that, I hadn't ever given him the tiniest bit of clue about me not completely believing him. As far as he was concerned, I was completely tangled in his web, a puppet dancing in his hands like the rest of the hundreds of loyal ninjas under him, blindly believing what he was selling. Why? Because I was waiting for him to display even the tiniest chink in his armor so that I could take over everything he has in one fell swoop, his connections, his wealth, and even the very league he has worked so hard for. Ra's al Ghul thought that he had me playing in his palms, but he had no idea that I was always 2 steps ahead of him. 2 steps that would not only win me his entire legacy, but make sure that my victory over him was as quick and effortless as possible. 2 steps that I was going to get really cozy with soon enough. Bruce Wayne POV. You still haven't won over your fear, brat. You're still holding on to something that is not letting you achieve your full potential, the same thing that is messing up your footwork. Find out what that is, and you will be unstoppable once you bring it under control. Ubu remarked while stretching one of his hands towards me to help me up. Currently, I was lying on the snow while breathing a little heavier than normal due to the bout I just had with the oversized League henchman. Usually, he wasn't the one responsible for training me, but Ra's al Ghul was busy today for some reason, so I had to make do with his bodyguard as my training partner instead. I find your lack of faith in my capabilities disturbing. The only reason you could surprise me there at the end, Mr. Loyal Minion, was because of your vast experience and because I lost my focus for a split second there. It won't happen again, I declared, confident in my own skills. There was, of course, a valid reason behind my confidence, and that was because I wasn't even using half of my physical abilities. In fact, I had been dominating most of the recent practice fights against Raz Al Ghul and Ubu for a while now, but since I didn't want them to think that I was as good as them in terms of pure skill, I only performed as well as they expected me to. It shouldn't, otherwise that would be insulting Ras teachings in a way. Now, let's return to town. The demon's head is probably waiting. He might have a task ready for you. Ubu revealed with a cruel smile on his face, like he was privy to some sensitive information that I was not. Sure man, just don't give me that creepy smile. You look like a middle-aged adult man trying to trap an innocent teen in his thirst trap. I shivered as I began to follow him to the primary dojo of Raz Al Ghul. Ubu, however, didn't react much. After that, we both went toward the demon head's private dojo, where he either only taught the most gifted members of the league or practiced alone. Today, the dojo seemed quite full with a lot of new faces undergoing training in the dojo. Training that would have been considered harsh and inhumane in terms of normal human standards. Raz Al Ghul himself seemed to be engrossed in training them, as he didn't even notice when we entered the dojo, or maybe he just didn't care. After all, no one was stupid enough to attack the undisputed leader of the League of Assassins in his own fortress. All the new members training in the dojo looked quite promising, but the dozens of new members currently training did not catch my attention. Instead, it was caught by only one person, a single extremely beautiful-looking young girl who was currently learning archery from Raz Al Ghul. This is impossible and pointless. Shooting 2 arrows from the same bow sounds amazing, but I don't believe for even a single second that it is practical in real life. I think we are wasting our time here. Rather, I should try to increase my arrow shooting speed. That would probably make me more useful as a member of the league. The girl calmly stated to Raz Al Ghul, who was overseeing her training. Impossible and useless you say. Maybe I overestimated your value too much, girl. I think that the fact that you are among the top archers in the league, or perhaps the fact that you beat your elder sister in long-range combat has gotten over to your head. But unfortunately, you are just proving your irrelevance by displaying your arrogance. The Al Ghul patriarch didn't even stutter while absolutely destroying the girl in front of everyone. Seems someone is getting cancelled soon. I smirked at the oversized lackey beside me who didn't even react to my statement at all, and just continued to stare ahead blankly like he couldn't even hear me. Bruce, could you demonstrate your own brand of archery? Raz Al Ghul suddenly requested, surprising both me and the girl who had been silenced by his heavy insults. Sure. I didn't try to extend the conversation more than I needed to, and just took the bow up in my hands, feeling it as comfortable as any other piece of homemade bow you could get your hands on. I, however, didn't take 2 arrows from the quiver in front of me. Instead, I took 3. What can I say? I was feeling like showing off a little. Also, not being a simp here, but when you show off in front of people, especially a beautiful girl like this one, you tend to do your best to make an impression, and that was exactly what I was doing, making a damn good impression. Bows and arrows aren't my favorite set of weapons, so forgive me for lacking the class that is required to use them, I said calmly as I fired all 3 arrows into the target before me. Each one of them, courtesy of my really good aim and mastery in the craft due to my cheat, ended up striking the human-shaped target in its heart, navel, and head, making the girl watching me almost gasp in surprise at my skills. Wow, I feel like a secretly OP anime protagonist right now. How the hell did you make that shot? It should be impossible. No, it is impossible. You almost curved the arrows in their paths while they were in mid-air. The girl complained, as I could detect a hint of anger and impatience from her voice, making it clear that she was not at all happy at seeing someone perform better than her. Stop complaining and focus on polishing your skills and abilities. You are weak, utterly powerless, and possess much lower talent than him right now, even in the very skill that you supposedly excel in. If you don't like that, then change it. Practice harder and work smarter. Don't expect people to just move out of your way to let you go ahead. Raz Al Ghul strictly said, shutting her up. You are dismissed. He then ordered her in a no-nonsense tone, bringing an end to the conversation. So, do you like hate women or something? Because that was just excessively rude. I asked Raz Al Ghul a couple of minutes after the girl left. No, I don't hate girls. I hate weakness, and right now all she has is weakness. A weak body, a weak mind, and most of all a weak heart. And I intend to change that by forcing her to get rid of her weaknesses. He explained. I see, I guess that makes sense. Sort of, I mumbled while nodding at his not-so-believable explanation. Nevertheless, I called you here because I have a task for you. A mission I need you to do. Something that can give you the experience that you so very much lack while testing the abilities and skills that you have developed till now. If you succeed in this, then we will advance to the next phase of your training, the final phase that is. If you do not succeed, well, then you won't be returning here. So take this as seriously as you can, because even the tiniest misstep can lead you down the path of failure, a path that has no return in the League of Assassins. Raz Al Ghul warned, not mincing his words at all. I am ready, Sensei. Tell me what to do and it will be done. I slightly bent my head in acceptance. As you know, the League of Assassins is a very old organization that has been contributing to the progress of the world for hundreds of years. But it is not the only one out there. There have been many such organizations throughout history, some of them protecting the forces of good, some of them wanting nothing but to follow their own twisted and selfish desires. One such nefarious organization is the Untitled, a clan of immortal siblings whose only desire is achieving true immortality and the death and destruction of everything and everyone around them with their dark arts. Until now, the League of Assassins and another group called the All-Caste have been repelling the Untitled, resisting their evil actions, and protecting the world against their threats, but recently the Untitled have grown a lot stronger. They have almost destroyed the entirety of All-Caste, and now seek to destroy the League as well, to make sure that no one powerful enough remains to stop them. That is why we must act now to eradicate them once and for all while we still have time, and you, Bruce, are chosen for this mission. Wait, this Untitled, you said they are immortal and no dark magic? Doesn't that mean they are out of my league? Because I don't see how I can fight against immortal sorcerers without knowing any magic myself. Even the chi lessons you have taught me are just basic fundamental lessons, only useful enough to resist possessions and spirit attacks. How do you possibly expect me to fight, much less win against them? I asked with a straight face, wondering if the old man had already realized my plans and was just trying to get rid of me in the most efficient way possible. However, that would be really hard for him to do, since I still have a couple of tricks in my bag to make sure that I don't die a useless death. I don't. Not like how you are now. But you will have everything you need for the job. The Untitled, despite how strong they are, is composed of only 9 people. They might seem immortal, but always remember everyone can be killed, even immortals. As for how you will do it, you will have help. I will not only give you command of a small group of my own assassins, but you will also be aided by the All-Caste as well. They will help you destroy the Untitled and make sure that they remain dead forever. After all, the Untitled are their biggest enemy, and they can do anything to get rid of them, even if that means teaching their secret techniques to others. That will be your true mission, to make sure that the All-Caste teaches you everything they know before the organization perishes. So, I will be taking advantage of a dying faction to get all their knowledge, and maybe even their resources, to kill a common enemy, while still getting to keep all the best things they have to offer for myself. And the League, of course. Cunning. I like it. I answered, truly impressed with his strategy. Yes, now go and prepare. Ubu will get you anything that you might need for this quest. You will leave tomorrow. Just remember that there is no room for failure or weakness here. I will start selecting the ones who will accompany you on this mission. He commented offhandedly, turning his back on me, making his intention of not continuing this conversation clear. I also didn't want to indulge in a needless chat with him any longer, to avoid giving him any excessive information about me that could potentially incriminate me in front of him, so I too silently left. You new here? A husky female voice suddenly stopped me in my tracks outside the dojo as I was leaving. I thought he told you to go and train your skills. It seems you are quite a rebellious daughter, aren't you? I smirked. What? How did you know? Observation and deduction. Something I picked up from reading Sherlock Holmes. I answered with a straight face, not giving her a chance to express her doubts further. Whatever. I just wanted to know how you did it. The 3-arrow shot. It shouldn't be physically possible. I don't think even my father can do it with that precision. So it makes no sense for you, a new student of his, to do it without a single error. She protested, sounding like it was really my fault that she wasn't as good. Deep-rooted inferiority complex and daddy issues, huh? Interesting. I wonder if I'll be able to use Raz Al Ghul's uncaring attitude toward his daughter against him, I thought, without letting my thoughts leak onto my face. Well, I don't personally prefer archery, so how about this? I will train you and teach you everything I know about shooting arrows, and in return, you give me a tour of this place and show me around. It's a good deal, and we will both profit from it. You will teach me the inner workings of the League, and I'll teach you what I know about shooting multiple arrows all at once. I threw the bait, knowing that she was already caught in it from how greedy she looked to the sound of free training. I guess, she is as much a training junkie as me. So, do we have a deal, miss? I asked as I stretched forward my hand for a shake. Nissa Al Ghul. And yes, it's a deal. But don't think we are friends or anything now. She huffed before lightly touching my hand in what seemed like a really awkward handshake. I think we would have to first work on your social cues a little, because that was by far the worst handshake I have ever experienced in my life. I chuckled, which also prompted a small smile to appear on her lips as well, a smile that she very much tried to hide but failed spectacularly. Bruce Wayne POV. When I first heard about this trip, I really thought that we would be going to someplace different, someplace that's not an extremely cold mountain covered with snow. But every sacred or mystical martial arts institution seems to be obsessed with snow-covered cold mountains. And the worst thing is that Ra's al Ghul didn't allow me to do another skydive this time. I grumbled while climbing up the mountain using traditional mountain trekking equipment. It would have given away our position to the enemy. The Untitled is more inhuman than you can imagine. I have heard stories about them, of their ruthlessness from my father, but even those stories pale in front of their real cold-blooded malevolence. We need every advantage we can get over them, and that includes the element of surprise as well, Nissa Al Ghul stated as she climbed up the same rope I was climbing above me. Well, I understand that, but what I don't understand is why the hell did your father let you come with me under my command? I mean, doesn't he know that any responsible father should never let handsome billionaires near their young daughters? He is practically inviting me to try to ban. Don't complete that sentence or I will cut the rope, she threatened, not caring about the half a dozen League members who were also climbing the same rope below me, immediately freezing in their place in fear of their boss's daughter actually following through with her threat. I guess League ninjas aren't exactly as fearless as advertise, I thought while feeling a little bad for them. Yeah, but look at the bright side. We now have ample time for training, which means that you can now perfect your archery while you are here and give a surprise to your daddy dearest after going back. I teased. I knew I should have said no when my father ordered me to join you as your subordinate. I would have preferred seppuku rather than this, she said in an annoyed voice as she increased her speed of climbing. Huh? But I thought we were friends now. That was the deal we agreed on, wasn't it? You are breaking my little gold-studded heart, you know. I also increased my climbing speed to keep up with her. It seems that Nissa was far more physically fit than any normal human, because any normal human would have blacked out from the extreme cold and lack of oxygen by now, but she was soldiering through like this was nothing to her. If I had to make a rough estimate, I would say her physical capabilities were something close to the level of the Winter Soldier from Marvel. At least that's what I calculated from my observations of her body, through the transparent world ability of my golden finger. It was probably some sort of mutation caused by her father's repeated exposure to the mystical Lazarus pits before she was born, making her a born super soldier. The deal was that I would give you a tour of the city and teach you about the League, not become your friend or something. In fact, if I knew that you would somehow convince my father to send me with you as your underling, I would have never agreed to it even in my worst nightmare. She huffed, her pride seemingly hurt by the fact that she, despite being the daughter of the leader of the organization, not only was inferior to me, a newbie in a particular skill, but also that she had to listen to me in this mission. Believe me, I have no part in convincing your father of anything. In fact, I am as surprised as you that he made this decision. Your father has been doing this for far longer than either of us can imagine. So, it would not be a stretch if we get easily manipulated by him without even realizing it happening. I muttered softly, making sure that nobody else could hear me but her. As a matter of fact, I already had a couple of reasons in my mind why her father might have done this, and one of them made perfect sense strategically speaking. But that would only be possible if he was one of the worst fathers in the world who didn't care about his daughter at all, which also might be true in this case. Except the fact that I had no proof of it, and therefore my hunch was only that, a possible hunch, one that I wouldn't be able to convince Nissa with. So currently, I had no other choice than to just keep my theories to myself and try to collect as much proof as possible. Nissa heard my mumbling, evident by a small change in her facial expressions, but she quickly went back to normal and continued climbing while ignoring me. I also understood that any further comments would be pushing it right now, so I too continued climbing behind her silently without making any more comments. The climb was as much tiring, for the other nameless ninjas behind me at least, as it was difficult. None of us died because none of us were ordinary civilians, but that didn't mean anybody liked it. After reaching our destination, The assassins, covered in complete white clothing with a small bag on each of their backs, were barely able to stand straight and were wheezing loudly from their lack of stamina, despite their ninja training. The all caste lives around here at this side of the mountain, so all we need to do is just find their hidden cave called the Chamber of All, and Nissa tried to determine our location on an old-looking map as she tried to find which direction to go to. Hey N, how common are mirages and phantasms on high cold snowy mountains? I asked, looking in a certain direction a little away from us. Don't call me that, it makes us seem really close, which we are not. Also, mirages occur in deserts, idiot. Why? Did you finally see your face reflected somewhere? She sneered, clearly proud of her sarcastic retort at my question. No, but I did see a couple of zombies walking towards us from that direction. Also, they seem to be coming from that cave behind them. The same place that you have been searching for the last few minutes without any hope of success. I replied calmly. Wait, what? Nissa exclaimed as she also looked at the way I was pointing with squinting eyes. There was about a score of walking dead slowly marching towards us. All of them seemed to be the corpses of some kind of monks or saints wearing long orange robes with disfigured faces and limbs that looked like they were broken in a scuffle. Holy shit. I heard one of the masked ninjas, a female one, mutter behind me under her breath, making me wonder if Raz Al Ghul had assigned me the runts of the litter as my group. What do we do? Nissa asked me as she took her position beside me with her bow drawn in her hands. She might not be happy with this situation overall, but that didn't seem to reduce her sense of responsibility for this mission. She didn't try to act like the leader or someone of a higher position than me at all, and completely left the leadership and decision-making part to me, as her father originally wanted. There only seems to be about 24 of them. Also, they seem to be extremely slow and blunt. We can take them. All we have to make sure is that we do not let them overwhelm us. Use long-range weaponry like bows and arrows, kunai, or shuriken. Try to target their heads. Destroying their brains should do the trick. I commanded with a no-nonsense voice, as I guessed the last part from my years of experience in watching zombie films. As soon as I gave the order, everyone under my command started their assault on the White Walkers according to my instructions. Besides Nissa, who used her arrows, everyone else used their standard kunai and shuriken. Only the female ninja, yes, I am guessing her gender from her body structure, Sumi, used throwing knives and poison darts. The coordinated attack was immensely successful, and most of the undead were dead even before they reached near us. The few that did were either decapitated by Nissa using her bow, which could be separated into a pair of sharp hunting daggers, or got their skull punched in by me, since I was too lazy to use an actual weapon. That wasn't hard. I guess I can slash fighting a horde of undead off from my bucket list now. I murmured as I cleaned the brain matter from my gloves using the snow and started to check the dead bodies. There were no bite or scratch marks on them. So, it didn't look like a zombie virus-caused event. Instead, it seemed like they had been killed by a group of people through either the use of brute force or something sharp. There were even whip marks on a few of their bodies. My guess would be that they had been killed and then raised from the dead by some bullshit necromancy spell. I had heard of a few that could do this sort of thing while training under Giovanni, but the weird thing is that no matter what spell is used, the cost of replicating this effect would be huge. So why would anyone use such a spell to raise a bunch of monks from the dead? They could have just killed them and left. Why show off, unless they are powerful enough to afford to flaunt uselessly? Or do they have access to something equally as powerful? Ah, it seems that you have already taken care of them. You have my thanks, traveler. However, your presence here makes me wonder why exactly the League is here in our territory. Does Raz Al Ghul plan to finish us off while we are struggling to battle the Untitled? A short old woman asked calmly with a blank visage as she appeared out of nowhere, standing beside where I was currently kneeling to examine the unmoving bodies of the undead. What the? Nissa was startled as she aimed her now-drawn bow at the short granny, who just stared back at her with a dull face. Even the other ninjas were surprised, as no one had sensed her coming. They were all trained assassins who were trained to be invisible when they needed to be, as well as sense even the tiniest of danger around them, but not being able to sense an old frail-looking woman with a walking stick in her hand was greatly insulting for them. If you were aiming to shock me, then I should tell you that I have been able to sense you from the moment we reached here. I sensed how you were observing us from the top of the cliff, how you were the one who attracted the undead towards us, probably to test our combat skills, and even how you silently walked toward us after we were done putting down these walking dead. So to me, you trying to walk silently with muted breath and hushed steps just seemed silly, Not surprising. I said, not really exaggerating anything. Everyone was quiet for a couple of seconds as it seemed like everyone else was wondering how to react to my statement until the old granny ultimately opened her mouth. Yes, you are perfect indeed, child of Wayne. Now, follow me. We have much to do. Bruce Wayne POV. Continue to stay in that stance as long as possible without moving or dropping the buckets in your hands. Now, focus on creating ripples in the water inside your buckets with the help of only your chi. Dukra, the old short female monk said as she stood with a stick in her hands and a strict expression on her face. God damn it. How the hell did I even reach this current situation? I thought I was here to read a few manuscripts or something and then fight off some immortal siblings. I never even in my worst dreams thought that I would be forced to be a part of 36th Chamber of Shaolin here. I muttered sarcastically as I did my best not to fall into the dark, ominous pit below me. Yes, you heard right. There was a bottomless pit below me. I was currently balancing myself on a string-thin rope using just one leg with two extremely heavy buckets filled with water in both of my hands. The weight normally would have been quite light for me due to my current superhuman characteristics, but strangely the buckets were as heavy as dozens of tons of metal, making this entire thing needlessly more difficult for me than it should have been. Also, I had been continuously standing like this for the last 6 hours. At least you are part of some supposed prophecy concerning the all-caste and the untitled. But what about me? Why the hell am I training like this? I don't think I can feel anything in my hands any longer. Nissa Al Ghul mournfully said as she did her best to manipulate her chi to create ripples in her bucket, something which she was surprisingly really good at. She was doing the same balancing exercise as me, only the weight of her buckets, although the same size as me, was nowhere near as heavy as mine. They were very heavy and enough to make her sweat severely to hold them up when compared to her physiology, but they didn't weigh tons like mine, which was probably somehow done with some sort of bullshit magic or mystic art. You shouldn't complain too much. Your elder sister never did. What both of you are doing right now is laying the groundwork for your future progress in the mystic martial arts. You yourself said that you were sent here by Raz Al Ghul to kill all the untitled, right? So, this should be something trivia for you. Once you comprehend how to manipulate the chi inside your body expertly as well as affect other objects with it, then you'll be ready to start learning the true power of chi, a small display of the true might of the mystic arts. Dukra said, her voice slightly shaking due to her progressing age. Wait, what do you mean by my sister? Is she here? Did you train her as well? Nissa got excited at the mention of the fact that her sibling might be here as well. I did train her long ago when she came to me with the same request as yours, yes. She was quite a talented assassin, but at the time that was all she was, a talented and brainwashed killer to serve her father. Dukra answered. Maybe you could just show some of the techniques to me. I tend to learn things pretty quickly if I see them. I tried to trick her into showing me some of the mystic martial arts she wanted to teach me, but unfortunately, she remained as unmoving as a piece of rock as she just shook her head in a brutal rejection. Copying everything is not the best solution to learn everything. Sometimes, you have to use your own comprehensive abilities to figure things out. Dukra said with a knowing look on her face, signifying that she had some sort of knowledge about my photographic reflexes cheat. I frowned at her statement but didn't retort to it and just focused on my own task. As much as I wanted to know about the so-called prophecy and how she came to know about it, I didn't want to take a chance and do it in front of Nissa. I couldn't be sure that the old woman was not an idiot and wouldn't reveal anything of importance in front of the daughter of one of the most shrewd villains in this world. They are weak, mother. They cannot defeat them. They don't have enough power and they won't be ready when the time comes. We are just wasting our time here. Instead, we should march against them right now while the untitled are still enjoying their previous victory and strike while the iron is hot. That is the way we will be able to take revenge against them for killing so many of our people and for committing the grave sin of turning them into those despicable undead. Essence, the daughter of Dukra protested as she entered the training area with teenage anger visible on her face. Truthfully, I did not blame the girl for thinking like this. Calling me weak might be over the top, but I knew just how much powerful the white-haired young girl truly was. She had been trained by monks from birth, and considering that I could feel the thick remnants of chi emanating from her, without her even trying to intimidate me, I could confidently say that defeating her at my current level of strength would probably cost me some slight injuries before I win the battle, which was really amazing for her considering that I had access to not only my own breathing style, but also chi on top of my superhuman physiology. Also, she had the right to be angry here. After all, The undead that we fought a few days ago after arriving here were actually the monks that used to live with them. They were part of the All Caste, part of her family which she lost when the Untitled killed them in a surprise attack and turned them into the Walking Dead. Revenge is a dark emotion, daughter. An emotion that leads us astray into the world of hatred. Taking revenge only makes you feel good for the first few seconds, but after that, the emptiness inside you will only increase until it consumes you. Revenge is never the answer. It's the path the weak takes because they hope that it will make them feel better. Dukra spoke in a slow yet serious tone as she said the last part while looking directly at me. Why the hell are you looking at me while saying all that? Your daughter is the one who is hellbent on revenge. I am just here to do my duty and kill the 9 untitled siblings. Not for revenge, mind you, but because it's my quest. Aren't you training me for the same reason? Because I am in your prophecy where I am supposed to destroy the Untitled. I helplessly shrugged. No, I am not training you to fulfill your prophecy of killing a bunch of nameless immortals, son of Wayne. I am training you to help you fulfill your destiny of bringing balance, true balance. Because that is what destiny dictates. Oh, and as for the Untitled, they aren't 9 siblings. They were once, but one of their siblings left them 3,000 years ago and adopted a name after she could no longer bear their desire for endless death and destruction. She now fights against them in a desperate bid to uphold balance. Dukra revealed. Mother, we aren't supposed to talk about that. Essence complained as she looked at her mother with a complicated gaze which Dukra completely ignored by keeping her eyes closed like she was reminiscing about something from her life. Really? Do you know where this person might be? Maybe they can help us fight off the Untitled. Nissa quickly spoke up at the chance of gaining more allies to complete the quest as efficiently as possible. I think she is talking about herself, N. You should learn to read between the lines. But again, what can we expect from a sheltered daddy's ninja? I couldn't help but tease. Don't call me that. Also, if you are really one of them, then does it mean that you too are immortal as well? Indeed we are. The day that those selfish animals reached and tried to manipulate the waters of absolute evil, we were there. The water changed us just like it changed them. It gave us access to powerful but dark magic, made us immortal, but also took away something extremely valuable from us. It took away our happiness and our humanity. It took away our lives and tied us to this place, this mountain forever. But the others still weren't satisfied. They wanted more. They wanted to get into the Chamber of All, hidden somewhere in this cave, and use the chamber's secrets to boost their dark powers to the extreme so that they could take over the entire world. That's why we have been protecting this cave all our lives from their wicked hands as the All Caste. That's why they want us gone so desperately. Essence admitted as tears slowly leaked from her dark eyes. The entire room was silent for a couple of minutes at the revelation. Now, that's enough. Essence, go to your chambers. As for you two, you should focus on completing your training. After all, that rope you two are standing on will break on its own in about 1 more hour, so you should finish the test within that time. But don't worry, that's still plenty of time for you to master chi manipulation. Dukra said with a straight face like she was just stating normal facts. What? Is this even worth it? The League already trains us in mystic martial arts and chi, but they never go this far. No martial arts, no matter how magical, is worth training if it's as difficult and risk-inducing as this. Practicing archery would have been much better compared to this. Nissa wasn't able to complete her words as Dukra had slightly tapped a wall of the cave with her chi-enhanced fist that was enveloped in a slightly green hue, resulting in half of the wall immediately collapsing like pieces of loose Legos. Mystic Fist. A basic move and a small example of what you would be able to do once you master the mystic martial arts that you would be learning when you complete your current task. Okay, maybe this is slightly cooler than regular archery, Nissa admitted. No doubt, I chortled with my eyes shining as I comprehended what I had just seen, my cheat working at full power to find out the workings behind the move. I had the front seat view of what had just happened because of my transparent world ability, and it was beautiful. But the most important thing of all was that I just realized how broken this mystic martial arts really was. After all, this might just be the thing I needed to make my Hammond dream an actual reality. So may I ask where we are going and why I am not training with Nissa like usual today? I asked as I followed after Dukra deeper into the cave, wondering where exactly we were going. She needs more time to master her powers and her chi. But you don't have the same privilege that she has. For you, it's either do or die. And that's why I am upping the ante in your training, so to speak. The speed at which you are improving won't be enough. You need to be able to do more than just jump high and punch hard. That's why we are going into the real chamber of all. She revealed with a chuckle as I couldn't help but groan. I had recently learned as much about Qi and mystical martial arts as possible from the few of the all-caste monks who were still alive, and even though I haven't yet made a breakthrough in unlocking something like Nan or Hammon, I have however learned how to augment and manipulate my Qi to an absurd level. A level where even the invisible energy of life becomes so concentrated that it actually gains visibility in the form of a slightly shining colored aura. But the reason why Dukra was poking fun at me was that despite having practiced so much and even being labeled as a freaking genius by Essence, I still, instead of learning every mystical martial art move in their libraries, had only concentrated on perfecting two. One was the mystical punch, which by the way needed a better name. The move was really similar to Iron Fist's Dragon Chi-empowered punch, and was mainly useful to knock people's teeth out, even if the ones in question are intangible spirits or untouchable demons. My second move, however, was a little more unique than the first one. The second move was basically me using enough of my Qi in a specific manner to jump up in mid-air using the Qi's energy as a boost, and by constructing a mini platform made purely and entirely of Qi, making it possible for me to jump around in thin air like some sort of video game character. Maybe, if you had tried to train me better and showed me all the techniques you know, then we wouldn't have been facing this situation right now, would we? Perhaps, you are not the wise and amazing mystic art teacher that you think you are. I grumbled at the short ancient one copycat, annoyed by her savage comments. Maybe. But again, as I have said before, everyone has their own part to play in the grand scheme of life. You do too, and regrettably, it's not being an expert martial arts monk. So, it doesn't matter how much of this you learn because, at the end of the day, this is going to be only a small part of your actual destiny. She replied calmly, not showing any anger towards my comments at all. After this, we didn't talk much as we both descended deeper and deeper into the cave in comfortable silence until we came across a huge door with inscribed runes all over it deep into the ancient cave. Welcome, Bruce, to the true chamber of all, where good meets evil, where life meets death, and where creation unites with destruction. Dukra announced in a voice filled with wonder like an expert professional tour guide giving a tour of the main attraction of the place. Was that supposed to wow me or something? Maybe. Anyway, you are supposed to enter the chamber alone now, that is if you aren't afraid, of course. Inside you will find everything you would need in this war against the Untitled, as well as everything you need to know. All you have to do is just keep your heart and mind clear and embrace the truth. She advised. Fine. I'll enter the chamber just like you want me to, but I have a very important question before I do that. I said as I examined the huge door. Yes. How the hell do I open the door? I asked, laughing nervously as I looked at the huge pair of doors which looked like they were the heaviest and most unmovable things in the world. Also, they looked like forcing open the doors might bring this whole place down. Don't worry about damaging the entrance. People much stronger than you have used their full strength on them, and yet have failed to move them even a single inch. Moving them depends on how strong your will is, not your muscles. So, it measures the power of will. Interestingly, I always wondered how strong my willpower is. I mean, I don't intend to ever wear a normal Green Lantern ring since I don't want to work for some intergalactic army or any weird short know-it-all group of ancient aliens, but this should give me a rough idea of how strong my willpower is in reality. I didn't spend any more time in useless monologuing and just pushed the door with both of my hands. But what happened after the very next moment shocked me to my core. This isn't possible, I mumbled aloud to myself. Huh, what? Even Dukra appeared somewhat surprised, being affected by my own astonishment and shock. The door opened with the slightest push. There was no resistance at all. Does it mean that I have infinite willpower of the highest quality, or maybe am I the very incarnation of the entity of will? I asked as I looked at my own hands in wonder. Dukra didn't say anything, and instead just continued staring at me with a straight face, waiting for me to go inside. Okay, don't guilt-trip me, old woman. I am going inside, I said as I walked into the room. Oh, and try not to insult him. He is as childish and dangerous as he is playful. He can be really moody and grudgeful at times. Dukra cryptically warned, just before the door closed on its own behind me with a heavy bam sound. Great, another cryptic advice. I thought aloud with a sigh. The room didn't look anything special at all. It was large, no doubt, but it didn't look magical or anything. However, one thing unique inside was the small pool of water in the middle of the chamber, which was an ominous dark green in color. I wanted to get close to the pool, but the water was continuously releasing small amounts of green mist which felt toxic as soon as it came in contact with my enhanced super skin. so I made sure to keep my distance from it. The entire room looked like some sort of treasure room with gold, silver, and diamonds lying on the floor like useless trash. Books were scattered like cheap magazines. There were even a few high-tech, futuristic-looking blasters and guns lying around, proving the fact that this place was weirder than I thought it was. So you are the chosen one, huh? You don't look that special to me. I wonder what's so special about you. Your sense of style, maybe. A childish voice surprised me, prompting my eyes to quickly begin to search for where the voice came from. After looking around more carefully, I finally saw what had been evading my senses. It was a boy in his mid-teens who was the same age as me, sitting on a giant golden throne like he owned the place. Gilgamesh. What? Don't compare me to that arrogant little punk. I never did like him. He stole too many of the treasures I liked and wanted for myself. I am the great, amazing, supreme, all-powerful, hugely popular, and handsome Lord Saru. However, I allow my friends to just call me Saru. The boy whined like the little kid he was. The young boy was well-built with traces of muscles spread all around his well-defined body. He wasn't wearing any clothes on his upper body, and also had a cleanly shaven head, giving him a spiritual look. Sorry, I thought you were him. Your handsome face and the huge collection of treasures you have accumulated also confused me. I am sorry if I offended you, Lord Saru. Dukra actually sent me here to you to find a way to defeat the Untitled. Can you help me out with that, Your Holiness? It would be a huge help. I tried to get on his good side, hoping that he would be as gullible as a real kid. Even if he isn't and understands that I am just playing around, it still wouldn't incriminate me since I am also a kid. In fact, I am more of a kid than he is, since going by how he talks, he should be as old or even older than Gilgamesh of Babylon. Yeah, I know who you are. That's why I called you the Chosen One. I guess that old wench just dumped your butt onto me. Talk of being irresponsible. I am a god for God's sake, not some babysitter. She should treat me with the appropriate respect and dignity someone like me deserves. Sigh, everyone takes advantage of the little guy, he said while wiping away a mock tear from his face. It was awkward because I now understood why Dukra hadn't followed me inside. This little kid who was supposedly a god was batshit crazy. He had a very short span of attention and talked like he was in a sugar rush. Dealing with him was going to be incredibly difficult. Why are you still here? I thought you would have left by now. Do you want something? By the way, I am not fighting you if that's what you are here for. I don't do mock practice fights after my last Thor and Odin debacle. Believe me, those damn overprotective Skyfathers are a bunch of arrogant fatzos, TCH. You shouldn't let your children fight someone if you're gonna be bitching about it later if he gets defeated. That's not called team spirit. It's called being a wussy. He mocked. Worry not, oh great Lord Saru. I am not here to fight you. Dukra told me that you might have some answers for me, as well as a way for me to defeat the Untitled. Also, it would be great to know why you are calling me the Chosen One. I questioned. Good questions, but unfortunately I won't answer them. So you may leave. What? Why not? Is it supposed to be some sort of a great secret or something that could affect my future? Well, I was actually going to say that I just wasn't in the mood. But yes, sure. That too, if it makes you feel better. Saru shrugged like he didn't care at all. I wonder if I have any chances of successfully killing a god, because that's the only thing I want to do at this point. Strangling this little godling until I feel the last breath of his annoying life leaving him. I thought while keeping a straight and stoic face. Hey, what is with that death glare? That would have made even me nervous if I had met you a couple of millennia ago. Chicks might dig it, but that doesn't give you the right to start scaring little vulnerable children like me. He suddenly stopped as he looked at the corner of the chamber with frowned brows, his previous visage of playfulness and humor completely disappearing like it was never there and being replaced by pure sobriety. Another attack by the Untitled, and this time it seems that they brought the entire cavalry. A final effort to wipe the entire all-cast together, it seems. He muttered. You know what, on second thought I will provide you with some much-needed aid. In fact, I will even let you choose what type of aid you need. What do you say? I am generous, aren't I? He giggled like he was really pleased with himself. And what are my choices? I asked, hoping that this won't be a prank or something. Let's see, I can give you that, but that is junk. Maybe that would be better, but again, compared to that, that's nothing. So the best would be that, and that. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. He nodded to himself as he began to study all his treasures like he was wondering which one he had to throw away while floating all around the room, still in the same sitting position he was in before. Yep, I have decided. Your choices are either to have a truly immortal and indestructible body by drinking this super amazing green drink that is absolutely not suspicious in any way, or to have a pair of swords that can cut apart anything that's magic or mystical. Or you may also take the third option and ask me a single question which I swear I will answer as truthfully as I can. Cool, right? So, what do you choose? He asked as a shining golden goblet filled with the same dark green water that the pool in the middle of the room was filled with appeared in his left hand, while a pair of flaming swords that seemed to burn the very air around them while raising the surrounding temperature floated above his right. Come on, you should quickly make up your mind, Bruce Wayne, unless you don't care that everyone outside is going to get killed and turned into zombies soon, in which case, you may take as much time as you want. Living is overrated anyway. He said with pure childish excitement in his voice, like he was genuinely curious about what I would do. Yep, that does it. I don't think that I am ever going to have children of my own, at least not in the next few centuries. Bruce Wayne POV. That isn't fair. Rewards shouldn't be given based on choices, but on achievements. Instead of making me choose between the three, why not just give me a task and reward me according to my performance? If I excel at the task, give me all the rewards, and if I fail, don't give me anything. How about it? You're not going to lose anything. No. Nada. Non. Neen. Nahi. You may fool anybody else with that challenge, but not me, little boy. You either take my offer and make a choice, or you can just walk out of this room and fight the horde of undead outside on your own. I am sure that you will survive even without my help, but the question is, will you be able to save the others as well? Even with your bag of tricks and unnatural body, I still highly doubt so. The kid god Saru giggled like it had just caught me cheating red-handed. So in a way, this is my test, isn't it? You're going to judge me by what I choose. I asked, raising one of my brows at the floating bald-headed teen god. Not everything is a test, you know. Sometimes, it's just a god giving you a choice among two free gifts to choose from. Saru sighed as he looked like he wanted to be anywhere but here. Shit. Wait, will you give me the true answer to any question I ask you? Even if I ask you stuff like how to become the strongest being on Earth in 1 week. What do you think, genius? Of course, I won't. Even I am nowhere close to the strongest beings. I mean, I am definitely in the top 100, but surely not in the top 50. So how the hell can I help you? God, kids these days. Give them an inch, and they will ask for the palace. No, I will only answer your question if I myself know the answer to it. The kid god grumbled childishly. Oh. Ugh, then I guess his knowledge isn't exactly going to be useful for me, since I doubt you can tell me anything truly important that I either don't know or can't figure out myself. Also, I am damn sure I can make myself immortal through multiple methods without his help. Even the version of Extremis that I have been working on can give a sort of physical immortality along with eternal youth. So the weird, suspiciously green liquid is also out. That just leaves those. I said as my eyes landed on the pair of burning swords which looked like they could burn me with just a single touch. Good choice, little Bruce. As people say, offense is the best defense. And believe me, knowledge is so overrated anyway. A couple of swords might go a long way in cutting off some wise and knowledgeable heads if they were to ever go against you. Saru gave his version of wise advice as he began to float towards me, both the goblet and the twin swords disappearing from his hands. Now time to pass on to you the real inheritance of the all-caste. Oh, and you should clench your teeth because as people nowadays say it, this is going to hurt like a bitch. He smiled innocently while grabbing my hands, which immediately made me feel like my hands were being burnt to a crisp through slow roasting, while millions of needles were piercing through the burnt flesh. Oh goddamn, I should have chosen the question, I yelled, feeling true mind-breaking pain for the first time ever since I came into this world without any sort of nerve suppressant. Nissa al-Ghul POV. Number 198. Did you secure our exit? We need to get out of here ASAP. There are too many undead here. We are swarmed. A retreat is the only option. I yelled through the handheld transceiver while battling the hordes of zombies that had suddenly attacked us out of nowhere. They had waited for the perfect time to attack and hit us when we were our weakest. Most of the remaining all-cast members were either resting or in the praying chamber while Bruce himself was in the supposedly magical room titled Chamber of All, trying to find out a method to effectively defeat the threat of this bloodthirsty undead for once and all. But why the hell is he taking so long? He was supposed to be here to lead the team during times like this. Did he run away or something? But again, as much as I understood from observing him, his personality shouldn't be the type to run away this easily. I hope he is alright. Even though he is in pricks sometimes, at some corner, some deep corner of his heart, he is still a good person. But, unfortunately, I currently don't have the luxury to worry about him. I need to save my own skin for now. That's what surviving means. That's what being in the League of Assassins means, I thought as I forcefully dispersed thoughts about him from my head. Negative. All exits are blocked, miss. The all-cast leader Dukra and her daughter Essence are currently battling two of the cloaked untitled members as we are trying to plow through the undead, but we doubt we will be successful in securing an exit way. You should leave if you get the chance, mistress. Don't wait for us. Rather, we will try our best to rescue the captain. The voice of the nameless ninja on the other side sounded as he spoke out in a flat tone like he wouldn't care even if he died. The ninjas of the League were more strictly trained than any other military organization in the world. Taking a bullet for their superior is the least of what they are prepared for. Giving their life for the slightest chance of the League's growth was all they could think about. Both their lives and their deaths were meant for the League and the person leading it. They were all orphans handpicked by existing League members at an early age and groomed constantly to be loyal and useful. Among the hundreds picked, only a select few, the best of the best, are chosen to be actual League assassins once their training period ends. The rest mostly die out due to not being able to endure the constant struggle. However, the ones who do survive excel in stealth, combat, sabotage, and intelligence gathering. They are the pinnacle of loyalty and efficiency. So much so, that they even throw away their original names given in their childhood and take up a number as their new name that gives them recognition in the League. The smaller the rank of the number, the higher the position of the member. Right now, there are about 200 League members in the Nanda Parbat branch. But the only ones allowed to hold a name or a title are the ones from 0 to 20. Raz Al Ghul himself was 0, Ubu was 2, my elder sister held the rank 3, and I myself ranked at about 11 currently. Of course, as one can already guess, the people my father sent with me were the last rankers of the Nanda Parbat beach, the bottom rookies as one can say. But that didn't mean I was gonna treat them badly. Master or rookie, they were loyal nonetheless, and I respected them for it. Fine. I'll see if I can find any escape. I replied through the transceiver while putting it away and shooting another arrow at the nearest undead's head, putting him down even before he could charge at me. I should have run away when I had the chance. I was an idiot to think that my father would actually care for me. Who am I kidding? He probably knew what we were going to face here. I am sure that this is one of the fight-or-die tests he loves to put me and Talia through. Even if I die here today, he most probably won't even visit my grave. He never wanted us in the first place anyway. All he ever wanted was just better soldiers and a worthy successor. I so want to kill him and bash his face in to show him how hard I can hit despite being a girl. If only he wasn't my father. My fists clenched as I shot 3 arrows at once, hitting 3 different undead at the same time, courtesy of the lessons from Bruce. I still remember what he said to me when he selected me for the journey. He told me to either be the best archer on the team or to get pregnant by someone worthy and give him an heir to fulfill my responsibility as his daughter. TSK, and he calls himself a father, that piece of shit, after torturing both of us sisters for years in the name of training, taking away everything we loved and replacing it with hatred. He still behaves like he can be our father, like he has authority on our lives. Damn you. My, what anger. It seems that the daughter of Raz Al Ghul has some severe issues. Like father, like daughter, I guess. One of the hooded figures, probably a female if one were to go by her body structure, dressed in a black hooded cloak with bandages wrapped around the visible parts of her body, whispered in an ominous voice as she walked towards me in a slow pace. Oh come on, Crimson. I have been waiting for a chance to add her to my collection. I always wanted to see an Al Ghul undead. Just imagine how amazing it will be for Raz Al Ghul to see his daughter in an undead state. It will be amazing. Ha 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 ha. Another one of the hooded maniacs, a male this time, said as he hung from the nearby cave wall like a demon of some sort. No chance, Dark. All of you guys got dibs on our little niece and sister. But I was the only one who called dibs on her. I knew that the demon's head would definitely send one of his daughters here. He did promise us, after all, to give us a prize if we were successful in completely taking over the all-cast. We are free to do anything and kill anyone except the dark-haired, blue-eyed boy, he said, as much as I remember. She laughed viciously like a witch, under the demon-like white skull mask on her face. Wait, what did you say? I muttered, now in a trance, barely hearing what they just uttered from their rotten mouths. It didn't make sense. Why would father ally with them? I can understand him trying to make us stronger by making us suffer, but why would he ally with them and tell them that they could kill us? Kill me but still spare Bruce, someone he barely met a year ago. Why would he prefer him over his own daughter? Oh, it seems you still don't have any clue about the deal that your father made with us. All this that we have achieved in the last few weeks is because of your dear father. A few weeks ago, he contacted us out of nowhere and gave us a method to make the darkness in us stronger. He even gave us the exact location of the Chamber of All so that we could achieve our full potential and gain the ultimate power with the water from the immortal lake of absolute evil. All for the small price of completely eliminating the All caste and giving him everything else we find here while leaving the boy alive. Truly a finger-licking good deal. The male Untitled this time sneered as he made a disgusting licking sound from his mouth. So, my father was the one who started all this? He began this entire farce to get rid of his enemies in the most efficient way while getting a worthy successor out of it. I thought as redness affected my vision, and tears began to drop from my face. Tears made of red blood, all the while I heard a constant ringing sound in my ears making me want to rip everything up. Are you crying? Ha 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 ha. Wow, that is funny, little girl. But don't worry, once we stitch up your dead body as our perfect doll, you won't be crying anymore. You will forever be happy. The woman said as the crimson fire began to light up in her left palm. You know what? Damn my father, damn his league, damn his empire, and damn you. I uttered in unrestrained anger as I took 3 of my special arrows out of my quiver and shot at the sibling duo. The 2 Untitled were standing close to each other at this moment. So the 3 arrows were targeted at both of them. The male one dodged the first and second arrows while the female one caught the third one effortlessly with her fingers. Arrows? We are old, but come on. Even we know that there are better weapons out there. The woman chucked in glee as she twirled the arrow in her fingers, trying to tease me. Look again, I said as they both noticed a small part section of the arrowheads, releasing a minute trace of fresh smoke. Huh? Boom! An explosion rattled the entire cave as pieces of their rotten flesh and bandages, along with the remains of their cloaks, scattered like tattered trash, painting a gruesome picture on the cave walls. As I said, damn you, I sniggered as I picked up a few of my previously shot arrows and prepared to go into another section of the cave. Most of the undead had already left this region of the cave after the 2 Untitled came here. They would be returning soon now that their masters are dead. That was smart. Risky but smart. I like you. I think I am going to make quite a special little undead doll out of you. The same female voice from before echoed as their flesh from all around me began to turn into shadows and merge together, forming the twisted figures of the 2 Untitled again like they had never died. I quickly tried to draw more arrows, this time supplying chi to them to make them stronger than ordinary arrows, but some of the tattered pieces of bandage around me began to tie me up, making me unable to load my bow. Don't bother, little ghoul. Even if you were able to attack us again, you still wouldn't be able to kill us. Our immortality isn't exactly for show, you know. The male Untitled broke out in a blood-curdling sneer as his eyes searched for desperation on my face while mocking me. But there wasn't any. I didn't show a single bit of fear in front of these monsters. I felt nothing while looking at their corpse-like bodies. No fear, no panic, just utter disgust. Although I also felt a little sad at not being able to experience my life to the fullest before my death. Maybe I should have gotten a boyfriend or something. A boyfriend who doesn't want a kid at all. I am sure that would piss off my father. Yeah, that would be funny. A smirk came to my face as I saw a crimson sphere of flame being tossed towards me by the female Untitled. Maybe next time in a better life. I closed my eyes as I activated the remote-controlled exploding device hidden in my quiver through a secret regulator on my bracelet. A last resort for the top-level League members when all hope is lost in a battle. However, I didn't do it for the League. I did it in the hopes that my sacrifice might help the rest of the all-caste members to survive. And maybe even buy Bruce some time, if he still hasn't escaped yet. Maybe my sacrifice might save him. As Raz Al Ghul used to say, a life for a life. Omniscient POV, silence, absolute silence. That was what Nissa was experiencing right now. She didn't feel a hint of pain or burn anywhere in her body from the fire thrown by the Untitled female as she waited with her eyes closed, kneeling in an awkward position while being partially ensnared by multiple rotten bands of bandages. There wasn't even any explosion from the suicide bombing quiver on her back. Did it fail? Nissa thought as she opened one of her eyes and looked at herself to see if she was still alive or not. To her utter amazement, she was still alive in the same situation she was in a couple of seconds ago. Yar, I reached just in time, I guess. Who? Such cool words, and yet such a stupid action. Your daddy dearest should have taught you better, princess. A handsome middle-aged teen flicked his non-existent sweat as he chuckled nervously, the screen of his watch displaying just 2 words, detonation deactivated. Bruce, what are you doing here? Why in the 7 hells are you here? You should have run away. You could have gotten out using me and the explosion as a distraction. Nissa yelled in worry and anger at her failure to save Bruce and his choice of not running away when he still had the chance. Run away? I think you severely misunderstand how I do stuff, princess. I don't run away and hide. No, I might exploit and cheat, maybe even a strategic retreat or 2 if things are really dire, but never run away like a coward. He scoffed as he lazily stretched his arms in preparation for the fight to come. The blue-eyed, dark-haired boy. You are the one called Bruce Wayne. Interesting, you used a chi-infused kunai to forcibly change the direction of my flame attack. It was so fast that even I almost didn't see it. I guess you are a long-distance fighter, aren't you? Making you one of my dolls wouldn't have been so bad, but unfortunately for me and fortunately for you, it's your lucky day. Ra's al Ghul made it clear to leave you alive. So you are free to go, little lamb, even though you just disturbed my playtime. The female Untitled said with a snarl behind her mask. Talk of a creep. You remind me of those anime and manga villains for some reason. You and your siblings should come to Gotham to get a crash course and learn how to act like a first-rate criminal before trying this entire dark magic pedo shenanigan you have got going on here for yourself. He said with a small smirk as he walked closer to Nissa to check up on her. Hey Scarlet, we were told to leave him alive, but what if he somehow died accidentally and his body disappears? That's not our fault, right? There are too many wild animals and dangers in the forest for us to keep track of every one of them. Maybe after he dies, we will even find a body that looks similar to him but is missing the face to identify properly. In that case, we can even keep his body as part of our own collection. What do you say, dear sister? The Untitled named Dark asked as he released a disgusting sound that sounded like a sloppy lick from under his mask. Well, I guess that can happen. Ra's al Ghul can't blame us in that case. And even if he does, we will be too powerful after gaining access to the Chamber of All for him to oppose us. The female Untitled completed in a grave and threatening voice, making it clear where her loyalties lay. Then it seems we have all reached an impasse, ladies, and Orochimaru. I guess we have no other civilized way to discuss this anymore. So, let's become a little uncivilized now. You wanted to play, right? So let's play. Bruce said with a calm and confident smile as 2 small and almost unnoticeable tattoos in the shape of a yin-yang symbol began to glow on both of his hands. With all blades summoned, gleaming bright, Indiana the darkness deep, to vanquish night. Magical, immortal, evil's plight, they'll cleave them all with righteous might. He uttered with a big excited smile as the tattoos shone with much more intensity and soon turned into what looked like pure red heat and materialized in his hands as 2 fully formed light swords enveloped in golden fire. With just a single swing, it cut apart the bandages tying up Nissa like a hot knife through butter, freeing her in the process. Do you need to say the entire poem every single time you summon those mystical blades, because that was the cringiest thing I had ever heard? Nissa asked in a whisper, immediately taking a combat position beside me with her bow drawn. No, I didn't even need to say it once. It's not even a thing. I did it because I always wanted to try out saying something like that. I whispered back with a straight face, not removing my eyes from the enemy. Also, if she thought that was cringe, I would like to see her face when she hears the Green Lantern oath in the future. Let's add them to our dead collection, Scarlet said with the creepiest laugh possible as she and her brother charged at Bruce like some wild animals. This was their second biggest mistake, which was not using their mystic powers and failing to play on their strengths by not maintaining a safe distance from Bruce. The biggest mistake was making the extremely ill-advised decision to even fight Bruce in the first place. The 2 Untitled had almost superhuman capabilities and could move with the agility of jackals, but Bruce was always faster with his evolved body. He sensed their moves even before they moved in the first place, his cheat enabling him to know everything that they were going to do just from the way their muscles bent. As he dodged Dark's claw slash, Scarlet tried to use magic in combat and coated her bandaged fists with scarlet fire, which miraculously somehow didn't burn her own bandages or her cloak. Bruce, who was only defending currently to get a taste of real life and death combat instead of attacking with his immortal slaying sword, was pissed. He was having fun in a pure close combat situation, but the moment they started using magic, he knew that he would have to curb his enjoyment and start taking this seriously because he was clear on one thing in his new life. Magic can't be underestimated ever, no matter what. Nissa, it seems that the siblings called a horde of walking dead to overpower us. You take care of the horde, I'll take care of the creepy duo, Bruce said as he signaled her in a particular direction. He had already sensed the approaching horde with his super senses and didn't want to be distracted by them from his first real fight. Nissa had been trying to help Bruce fight the Untitled by battling beside him with a pair of hunting daggers while channeling chi in them. The chi-infused daggers were better suited against the Untitled when compared to normal weaponry and slowed down their rate of healing, but still were no match for their immortality. So she wasn't really important to that particular battle and would be more useful in blocking the other undead from disturbing their battle. After receiving Bruce's order as team captain, Nissa didn't complain at all. She was competent and experienced enough as an assassin to know that she could not argue with him in the middle of a battle or go against his command, even if she didn't want to leave him alone in the fight. So she quickly nodded with slight hesitation and dashed toward the direction the undead horde was coming from according to Bruce. Now that she is gone, let's end this quickly. I have 6 more of your siblings to slaughter after this. Bruce tightened his muscles as he began to increase channeling his own chi into the twin swords. After Saru had entrusted the All Blades to him, he knew of almost all the advantages and limitations of the sword. The mystical swords were actually much like Marvel's Ghost Rider. They could not hurt the truly innocent no matter what. But for those who have sinned, for those who were evil, they became sharper and sharper, the more evil their targets were. And they could slaughter anything, even immortals and gods. At least theoretically they could, because Bruce doubted that the blades would be able to do anything against fifth-dimensional reality-altering imps or all-powerful archangels. However, besides not being able to hurt innocents, there was also one more limitation of the All Blades. Continuously materializing them was goddamn hard. They gobbled up the user's chi like a wildfire, burning it up like gasoline. The only reason Bruce had been able to maintain them for so long was his huge life force and chi, which was a result of his superhuman body and thousands of hours of meditation and chi training he had been practicing for the last half-decade. Rise, my beautiful dogs. Kill him. The male Untitled yelled in a fervor as dark magical light shone in his palms. Immediately, a couple of dozen black-colored skeletons with sharp bone weapons in their hands emerged from the ground and faced Bruce. Even Scarlet, the female Untitled, began to chant some kind of spell as balls of scarlet fire appeared behind her. A final struggle. Good, that would save me some time. Also, I wanted to test something. You two are perfect for that. Darkness breathing, Form 1, Midnight Stance. Bruce muttered to himself as he crouched low and focused on being as unnoticeable as he could, reducing any excessive movements to the minimum. It almost seemed like darkness surrounded him as he almost became invisible to all 5 human senses. The female Untitled didn't waste any more time and released all the balls of fire she had conjured behind her towards him in the hopes of roasting him alive, but unfortunately for her, his first form was an excellent defensive position that could lead to lightning-fast counterattacks. And counterattack he did as he slashed and blocked all the fireballs with the All Blades as not even a single tinge of fire touched him. Form 2, Shadow Strike, Bruce uttered next as he dashed forward and almost seemed to disappear into the shadows and reappeared behind Scarlet, delivering a surprise attack on her with incredible speed and precision, aiming to kill the ranged mage-type enemy first to maximize his chances of victory. A shrill female scream resounded through the cave as the attack completely separated the Untitled female into 2, the burnt portion of her body where she was slashed shining golden red due to the heat from the All Blades, making her healing back to her original self impossible. Soon, the heat burned up the entire body of the female Untitled as the once immortal dead body collector turned into ashes without even being able to utter a single word. Sister. You aren't even worthy to be in my collection. You deserve only to be. The other male Untitled started, but Bruce interrupted him before he could finish. Form 3, Eclipsing Crescents, he mumbled once again as he jumped forward and slashed a crescent-shaped arc with all his power in a fluid motion, getting rid of half of the summoned skeletons in one move. Form 5, Abyssal Serpent Dance. Bruce moved fluidly and unpredictably, mimicking the movements of a serpent in the dark, confusing the other remaining mindless undead skeleton minions as he suddenly swung his blades at an awkward angle, delivering a devastating attack on the rest of the undead like the bite of a snake, destroying all of them with just a single move. And last but not least, Form 7, Eclipse Shatter, he yelled in excitement as he concentrated 70% of his remaining chi into his blade, which made them light up like never before, casting a shadow in some parts of the cave while lighting up others. It looked magnificent as he prepared to deliver a devastating slashing attack like no other. No. I won't die this easy. I'll be truly immortal after I kill you and destroy that sword. I'll even bring my sister back. I won't lose. I am Dark, the untitled ruler of darkness. The Untitled screamed as his cloak transformed into a shield of pure shadows to protect him from Bruce's attack. However, unfortunately for him, this was a move Bruce had been perfecting in his mindscape, something he had been working on for years both in simulation and actual training to make sure that no threat, no matter how durable or tough they were, could stand against him after this one move, that even the toughest shield would shatter against this one technique. Swish! A sharp cutting sound was heard as Bruce landed on his legs a few meters away from the male Untitled, slightly panting from his low chi level, his powerful muscles aching from the strength he had used against the immortal monster. You should have never come out of your hiding place, Untitled scum. Bats are the true rulers of darkness, not some rotting skeleton. Bruce smirked after he steadied himself as he walked towards the direction Nissa had left in without giving Dark even a single more look, the all blades disappearing from Bruce's hands due to the low amount of chi remaining in his reserves. I hate B-bats. The Untitled only managed to mutter 3 words as he slowly burned up into embers of fire that began to disperse in the air, all the while he could not even move from his standing position. Not only his newly created cloak shield had been completely ripped apart by the attack, but the entire position of the cave was also damaged beyond repair as the floor and the wall behind the Untitled had a 6-meter-long clean slash that was still burning red from the heat of the all blades, a mark that was the evidence of the short yet epic battle that had just taken place in the Himalayan cave. Omniscient POV. Take that, you undead bastard. Let's see you recover from this. Essence. Dukra's daughter mocked as one of her hands clad in crimson-colored aura of chi mercilessly crushed the heart of the Untitled sibling in front of her. How? This is impossible. I am a true immortal. I can't be killed. The female Untitled uttered with a voice of disbelief as he felt the clutch of death on him getting strong while failing to heal himself. An immortal can kill another immortal, even without any special immortal-slaying magical weapons. You should have studied more about how the supernatural world works instead of always trying to show off your mystical powers and chi sorcery. Could have saved your life. Essence smirked as she nursed the injury on her stomach while walking toward the direction where she last saw her mother fighting one of the other Untitled siblings, all while the dead Untitled slowly turned into black specks of dust and evaporated away into the wind. Are you finally done, daughter? You took quite a while. I thought I taught you better than that. Dukra snarkily commented as she calmly stood in front of dozens of destroyed undead bodies that were no longer moving or twitching. I am guessing that you took care of the one you were fighting then? Essence said with an ugly expression on her face, making it clear that she didn't at all like her mother questioning her abilities. I did. I sealed the brother whom I was fighting before. He is now forever imprisoned in the fiery pits of the inner circle of hell with no chance to ever escape, never to return again. Dukra answered with a slight undertone of resignation lingering in her otherwise impassive voice. I see. I guess that counts as a victory as well. Now, let's go. We have 6 more rotting monsters to kill. Let's kill the rest of the Untitled and end this war forever. Only then can we have peace. No, we don't. We have done our part. We have defeated the ones whom we were destined to defeat. Now it's time for us to lay down our weapons and keep our trust in the Night of Vengeance. His fate is the one overshadowing the fate of my other immortal siblings. Dukra mysteriously said as she took out a small smoking pipe from inside her cloak and began to smoke it in a relaxed manner like she didn't have anything to do with this entire thing at all. Do you mean Bruce by your needlessly jumbled up words, mother? Have you finally gone mad? You are placing your trust in fate, of all things? And a little boy whom you hadn't even met a month ago? Have you finally gone crazy from all the centuries of pent-up frustration? Essence wore a scowl on her face as she looked at her mother with eyes full of disbelief and confusion. Maybe I have grown a little crazy, yes. I guess we will see soon just how much crazy I have become. After all, his battle should be over by now as well. Let's go and see if he is still alive. Who knows, maybe that kid will give us a surprise. Dukra smiled as she began to walk slowly in a certain direction while making a small gesture at her daughter to follow after her. Essence had no idea about what her mother was talking about. All she knew was that she wanted this entire ordeal to be over. She wanted the Untitled dead no matter what. She had always thought that she could sacrifice anything to achieve that. Yet when it came to actually defeating the evil group, she hesitated in involving others in it. Unlike her mother, She didn't want to drag others into a problem that was basically theirs. Even though she really wanted revenge for all the all-caste monks who had died in this war against the Untitled, she didn't want to do it at the risk of the lives of Bruce and Nissa. The two might not be the most social and warmest of persons, but they definitely had good hearts in them. However, most important of all was the fact that even though Essence would never admit it in public, she still considered the two of them her friends, allies that she trusted. And she didn't want to be the person to bury her friends. As Bruce had once said to her, those who break the rules are scum, that's true. But those who abandon their friends are worse than scum. What? How did this happen? We were supposed to be the future conquerors of this realm. So, how come are we all being slaughtered like animals? An untitled male, the last of his creed, groaned in pain as he felt the all blades penetrate his soft, darkness-filled heart. Weakly looking all around him, he saw all that was left of his siblings was just lifeless black dust. He knew that they had lost the battle the moment the monster in front of him had hunted one of his sisters effortlessly, while treating it like some sort of practice game, but in his utter arrogance and pride, all of the Untitled had denied the obvious and continued waging war instead of fleeing. If he had fled the scene in time, he would have at least kept his life, but alas, he wasn't so fortunate. In his utter anger, while being drunk in power, he and the other living members of his clan had tried to kill the boy who had dared to attack them. However, what he hadn't known at that time was that the boy was not at all a human. He was a monster, a demon in human skin who only treated them as practice dummies. Who are you, you bastard? He painfully groaned, probably his last words, as he could feel his body quickly burning up under the heat of the All Blades. The Untitled leader was not at all proud of his choice of last words, but he wanted to know the name of the one who killed him, the identity of the being who slaughtered him, as well as the reason why such a scary monster like this boy had targeted their clan. He wouldn't be able to be at peace if he didn't know at least that. You really want to know, don't you? Well, I could tell you, but guess what? I am not in the mood to talk right now. So, just die. The boy bared his teeth in a twisted, cruel smile as he twisted his sword inside the Untitled slightly, lighting up the mystical sword in a brilliant glow that immediately burned up what remained of the immortal necromancer. And that brings the count to 6. These guys really are like cockroaches. No matter how many I kill, there are still some of them remaining. Huh? Are you done as well, Nissa? Bruce asked as he looked at the assassin slowly approaching him with steady yet silent steps. Yes, I am. I killed the entire undead horde they had awakened from the dead. I even found our assassin team. Quite amazingly, they are all still alive. A miracle truly, since they were supposed to be the litter of the runt. Nissa informed in a nonchalant tone, seemingly not caring about them at all. He was incredibly fortunate to not lose even a single person from the team assigned to him. The attack by the Untitled was so merciless that the single attack had wiped out more than 90% of the surviving all-caste members, leaving only a few monks alive. This alone could show the severity of the battle that had just taken place here on the mountain between the two supernatural organizations. Are they all right? Do they need any emergency medical attention? Bruce asked with a frown, feeling somewhat responsible for not helping them in time, and instead just focusing on trying out his new pair of swords. No, but they definitely need some motivation. They looked like they wanted to kill themselves in shame at not being able to perform as well as they expected themselves to perform. Nissa joked. Well, I think I can help with that. We should also find Dukra and Essence as well. I sure hope that they are still alive. Let's go. Oh shit, Bruce had fallen down with the first step he took. His body was deprived of any chi or energy to move. Even the twin blades in his hands disappeared from a lack of chi necessary enough to maintain them. What happened? Are you all right? Are you hurt or something, or did you get some internal injuries? Nissa asked, worried about him. No, it is just that I think I used too much chi playing around with my new toys. Maybe I should first learn the basics of chi management or something. Bruce weakly chuckled as he felt the heavy exhaustion kicking in his body. Something that happened for the first time since he went through the entire body enhancement procedure. I guess I don't have the infinite amount of chi hack, do I? He thought to himself as he felt his eyelids getting heavier. Never could I ever even in my wildest dreams imagine that I would one day be losing my consciousness like this, after pushing myself so hard in a battle like some shonen protagonist. He chuckled to himself as he silently continued to lie on the ground, waiting for his chi reserves to regenerate for meditation. He did not even have enough energy to try to regenerate his chi using his breathing techniques. He had heard of Dukra and Essence fighting with two of the Untitled. He could only hope that the mother-daughter duo succeeded in defeating them because he knew it as a fact that he would not be able to get his sword up and working again for the next couple of days. That's how much drained he was from constantly using it at such a huge power while performing extremely fancy moves and maneuvers. The only reason he was so brave at sleeping in the open while still having possible enemies close was because of the fact that he knew Cortana was always active on his watch and listening to everything. She could protect him using the various little yet deadly tools hidden all over his body if she ever sensed that he was in some sort of danger. For example, a small EM wave-based force field that could be generated by the belt he was currently wearing alone could protect him from a full-powered missile strike from an army. "Bruce, can I ask you something?" Nissa asked with some minor hesitation in her voice as she also laid down beside him to rest, not caring about the team that was loyally waiting for her. "Yeah, sure," he answered in a lazy voice, barely being able to keep himself awake. "At that time before you rescued me there, for a few seconds I thought I was gonna die. I looked back into my life, but I did not find anything that I had ever done in my life that truly made me happy. Whatever I had done for my father. I never even had a boyfriend or anything. So, I promised myself that if I survived, I would at least try to date someone, to experience how it feels like to have someone who cares for you and to care for him in return. But I don't really know anyone worthy enough to be with me. But then I thought about you. So will you? Can you be like, do you want go out on maybe some sort of do you want to go out with me, Bruce?" Nissa finally asked with a light red blush spreading on her cheeks. "Yeah, sure," Bruce muttered almost incomprehensively, his mind befuddled with exhaustion and desire to just let go and get some sleep, something that Nissa failed to realize and attributed to shyness instead. "Oh. Wow, thanks, I guess. That was easy. I was afraid that you would reject me or say something like you already have a girlfriend or something like that. I guess I was thinking too much into it," Nissa happily remarked, glad at not having to face rejection at the very first proposal in her life. Bruce, however, didn't reply. He had already fallen asleep due to a serious lack of chi and was in no position to continue the conversation or even realize how deep a hole he had just dug for himself, something that would severely drain both his physical and mental energies than the pair of mystical swords ever could. Top of Wayne Solutions HQ Skyscraper. Selena Kyle POV, huh? I suddenly feel annoyed for some reason, like something just happened that should not happen at all. I wonder what. I tiredly thought to myself, panting as I took deep breaths to calm my rapidly beating heart while I tightly gripped the whip in my hands. "What happened, little pussy? Are you out of juice so soon? I thought you were supposed to be one of Richard's most prized students. Turns out you are just a little scared cat." The Asian woman who previously identified herself as Lady Shiva taunted me with an annoying grin directed at me. "You think you are beating me, you muscle-brained gym addict. The only reason you were able to land a few hits on me is because of your experience and your fully developed adult body. So, don't get ahead of yourself," I said while clenching my teeth in anger, forcing my tired body to move again. "Oh, it seems you still have a little flair left in you, don't you, my cute little kitty cat? I guess you are really motivated to improve yourself for your little boyfriend. To protect and help him better, as you said, right? But sadly, I barely see the required potential in you. But I have to admit, he does look tasty with that chiseled body of his. Maybe I should shaboink him in front of you when he returns, pumping his seed out of him all the while you pathetically watch being restrained like a little pet with my underwear clogged inside your mouth. A second child after I give birth to this one doesn't really sound that bad, I think." The woman mocked as she rubbed her tiny baby bump, indicating her recent pregnancy. "You evil bitch. I was trying my best to hold myself back and not to hurt you too much since you were pregnant, but now I am gonna go all out on your old butt." I yelled in blind rage as I channeled my chi inside the whip and began to attack the old hag with everything I had. Anger is quite useful in a war, but in a battle, it's useless, foolish, and the crucible of you being a rookie warrior, Shiva said as she effortlessly dodged the repeated strikes of the whip and took slow and steady steps toward me. "God damn it, you. Why the hell can't I hit you? This isn't fair." I muttered through my teeth as I tried harder and swung my whip faster with much more force behind it. "You will never be able to hit me. That's the reason why I am the teacher here, and you are the student. If you were good enough to fight me one-on-one and possessed the potential to win, you would have been fighting me to the death, not learning from me." She snorted as she rapidly closed the distance while dodging my blows, and once she was close enough, she hit my hand hard, forcing me to drop my whip. An amateur to the use of chi, an expert gymnast, and pretty much okay in armed and unarmed combat. Those are qualities I can find in thousands of girls, but I didn't select you because of them or because of your relationship with your rich boyfriend. What I selected you for is your will, your desire to grow strong and to attain more and more power no matter how for the sake of the one you love. That is the reason why I decided to train you," she said while narrowing her eyes at me. "And maybe when I am done with you, when you have gathered enough experience, you perhaps one day will provide quite a challenge as I battle you to death to find out who the better warrior is. TCH, don't overestimate yourself, old lady. The only reason I am even here humoring you is that you said that you are also from the same secret organization that Bruce joined and a very high-ranking member at that too, and that you could teach me everything I needed to know to not fall behind Bruce too much." I huffed as I refused to acknowledge her superiority in her combat abilities. She, despite her amazing combat skills, was an absolute maniac and a slut who in her own words had banged a lower-ranking member only so that she could give birth to a child who could one day be able to fight her on an equal footing. Whatever you tell yourself to sleep at night, darling. But that doesn't change the fact that you will be learning from me as my student, and when I am done with you, your entire life view will have changed and you will realize how important true power is. That I can assure you," Lady Shiva stated like it was a hard fact with a cold, nefarious smile as confidence oozed from her. "We will see," I said, equally as confident, determined to never place power as the top priority in my life. This lavish life that I currently enjoy, the loving parent I have in the form of Alfred, my new lovely pet that I adopted, Whiskers, and even the friends I have made like Zatanna, Helena, Vicky, and Lola, everything is because of Bruce. He was the person who had always stood by me and given me everything in my life till this point. He is the reason I am even alive today and not lying dead in a dark alley somewhere. And most important of all, he is the person I love most in the world after my mother who died back when I was just a little kid. So he will always be the most important thing in my heart, and having a life with him is the dream that I strive for every day. And I will achieve it no matter how many hours a day I have to train or how many bodes I have to bury. Omniscient POV. Bang! A dead body dressed in complete black clothing and mask dropped to the ground after the gunshot, and a puddle of blood began to form around the body without any sign of the person lying on the ground moving or twitching. These attacks seem to be getting more and more frequent every day. Now they are trying to target me, probably because they think that I have taken over Master Bruce's entire fortune in his absence. Maybe they are getting greedy for Master Bruce's rapidly increasing fortune, or maybe afraid of it. I guess officially being the largest electronics company and the fastest growing bank in the country does attract a lot of attention. What do you think, Ace? What should we do about the people who keep sending them? Alfred wondered aloud curiously with a smoking Glock 19 in his hands. He didn't like to use guns anymore, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Not that the situation was ever really that desperate, since he knew that there were at least 2 armed combat drones in stealth mode made by Bruce and controlled by Cortana that always accompanied everyone that Bruce truly cared for 24/7, including Alfred himself. But he still took the shot himself because he didn't want to grow too soft and fail to protect or serve Master Bruce when the time came. After all, Cortana might be the perfect protege for him who could serve the young master in his absence, since he wouldn't be able to be there for Master Bruce forever. But even machines had their limitations, and he wanted to be ready for the dire time if Cortana ever faced such a limitation. Asterisk woof 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 asterisk should shoot their greedy asses, Ace barked excitedly as his caller translated his barks into actual English, all while he was standing proudly on another dead intruder, a big deep and bloody bite mark visible on this one's neck. Yep, that's definitely right. You have gotten smarter over the years, Ace. That's exactly what I am gonna do. Alfred smiled kindly as he rubbed the dog's head affectionately, at which Ace happily wagged his tail. However, clearing the bodies is always a headache, and we will even have to call on the sweep team to get rid of any DNA evidence as well. The butler muttered to himself as he sighed and got his new Wayne Tech branded phone out of his pocket. Send some men to the new Wayne Park for a thorough cleanup. There was a little accident here. Alfred ordered the new security division of Wayne Solutions, a newly opened division, most of whose employees were hired and vetted by Slade Wilson himself. Now it's time to permanently take care of the problem, by ripping this thing out at its roots, Alfred murmured as he looked at a particular name on his call list. It was a certain name he had recently come across with the help of Cortana while navigating the dark side of doing business in Gotham. He was someone who specialized in making problems go away forever, especially when these problems were living people. He would have asked this as a favor to Slade, but lately, the man had been quite busy. Between the birth of his newborn daughter and his suddenly becoming a philanthropist with regularly scheduled visits to orphanages, the man barely had the time to breathe. Master Bruce was definitely working the man to his bones for the fat paycheck that he was giving Slade. Alfred didn't want to give him more work on top of that. His family needed him right now. That is why this particular person in his contact list would have to be enough to make this little hiccup go away. He already suspected who had been sending these men to try to off him. It was someone who had the required motive, someone who would benefit from both Bruce's and his absence, in which case the Wayne Solutions Company could in theory be grabbed essentially for free by Wayne International. I didn't want to do this, but I guess luck is not on their side. Only when a few of those backstabbing board members are dead will they finally get the warning not to mess with us. Alfred mumbled as he prepared to make another call. Hello. A distorted voice came from the other side of the phone as Alfred made the call. Is this Deadshot? I have a job for you if you are interested. Alfred talked in his classic British accent with a cold, hard determination oozing from his voice.
And that concludes this episode. If you enjoyed it, I'd seriously love it if you guys could leave a like on the video, as it genuinely helps out so much, and it keeps me going, plus it takes only 1 second. That said, have a wonderful day. See you in the next one.